Oh Gott. Das ist wieder voll.
Die ewige Sonne wird uns leiten. Ah. Ich wollte noch eben kurz was machen. Kanal.
So. Jetzt habe ich alles. Ja, zufrieden. Ich kaputt habe. War ich mal eine Woche nicht da, fast eine Woche. Ich musste viel arbeiten. Darf ich wieder so viel machen? So eine Scheiße. Egal, alles Gold. Schoraran. Ich weiß gar nicht, ob ich es richtig ausspreche. Wieder so viel.
Unsere Feinde werden fallen. Selama Ashad Alon. Was ist euer Begehr?
Resource unique to the Starlight Strand. Some buzzwax from a beehive. I broke any pots I saw for some cheeky cash, and it couldn't hurt to stock up on some of that buzzwax. I jumped up some ledges and found another pod, and I dropped down into a sandy coral area.
Is this the other side of that door I was at? How do I open it?
I then saw a rather surprising slime burst out of a chicken's nest.
Oh, a Yoki slime. It's an egg. They inspire nearby chickens to sometimes make a giant egg full of chicks and Yoki plorts. I mean, I don't have room for chickens at the moment, so I'll save that for later, I guess.
I ventured back inland a little, and finally found some more honey slimes to add to the one I'd captured earlier. I found a cave that wanted a rock plort, and my jetpack helped me get up to this cave entrance, with yet another door and yet another slime statue.
Oh, you want an angler plort? Okay.
I went in search of wild rock or angler slimes, but before finding either of those, I found a map node.
Oh, here we go.
Another day, another Gordo.
Ever since I came back, things have been a little fuzzy. Like some of my memories stayed behind.
These GG logs were hinting at some serious funny business, and I found some mint mangoes lying around. These are the favorite of the honey slimes, so I was pleased to claim a couple.
I don't really understand where I am. Oh, what do you want? A hunter?
I hadn't come across a hunter slime yet, and somehow I'd circled back to the portal I'd arrived through, and I found a pod right above it. I then decided to call it a day.
New message from Ogden Ortiz.
Another bullhead from the first game, who sent me a gift. Thank you, Mr. Round Noggin. As always, after a trip out on the range, there were hungry slimes to feed back on the ranch. I got rid of the carrot farm next to the pink cottons, and instead placed another corral for the honeys, and I began to wonder why I ever planted the odd onions. which I got rid of as well, and I replaced them with a mint mango farm.
What happens if I put him in there?
I was at a bit of a loss as to what to do with the random Yoki slime, so for now I put it in with the honeys. Yokis cannot turn into Largos, so I figured it would just chill in there until I was ready for it to hang out with some chickens.
For now, I need to make money.
As always, feeding my hungry slimes led to a big pile of plorts. But here's something I didn't realize about my rock angler Largos. Apparently, they can hurt you. I don't know if they were angry or if their rocky spikes got me, but I died.
What? These guys are dangerous or something. I'm getting a plort collector for these guys. I'm sick of this nonsense.
I'd been holding off buying plort collector upgrades for my corrals because
Für
they
den
cost 750 new bucks
Sonnenbrunnen.
and I wasn't that rich yet. But for my own safety, this one seemed necessary.
You buttheads.
It's also way more convenient.
I kind of want to just spend all my money upgrading my things. It's just really annoying when you collect the plorts.
So that was that. I began sinking plenty of my profit into installing plort collectors on the corrals. After a little more ranching, I went back out once more. I decided to go back to the Amber Valley, and I soon wandered into a cave that I missed on my first visit to the area.
Ratty slime, fiendish stalker in the night, hunting for fruit.
I collected a few and soon found some pomegranates, the favorite food of batty slimes. Across on this ledge, I found a boom slime statue, and through this exit up here, I found another new variety of slime.
Die finsteren Zeiten
I
werden
made some space in my
vorübergehen.
backpack and sucked those little dinguses up. Crystal slimes love odd onions, but I'd banished those from my ranch.
Well, what if I combine the baddies and the crystals and feed them pomegranate? I've got pomegranate now, and then I can skip the odd onions. 'Cause the odd onions are kind of annoying because they also produce a lot of unnecessary carrot for some reason.
Unnecessary carrot is a plague upon society. Also, I found another cave. Or maybe it was the same cave, I don't really know. But it led to a big spurty water thingo that shot me way up rather high. I was pleased to find a map node up here, which revealed roughly a third of the Amber Valley area. I spied a crystal gordo chilling over here. I enjoyed a majestic view across to some lava nonsense over the water. I found a pod with a heart cell in it, and I found myself wandering back through this area with lots of splashy thingos, where I found another map data node.
Oh, we've got a thunderstorm weather event. How about that?
I made my way around to the area with the lava, where some feral slimes greeted me.
Batty boomers? Get out of here, batty boomer. Okay, I need some, like, not batty boomers. I need some just boomer boomers. Any of those exist?
It sadly appeared there were only angry batty boomers in this area.
It's gonna burn me. Yep.
I backtracked and took a turn up this way instead, and I wound up in yet another cave. It had the lovely boom slimes that I was after.
Some boom slimes to add to the glory. The boom slimes like meat, right? Yeah. Mix the boom slimes with the honey guys.
3 new varieties of slime captured in one expedition. Not too bad. I found a batty gordo blocking the way out of the cave, but I was ready to head back. And I should reiterate, I was still mostly lost, stumbling about like a goose. But I eventually found my way back to the home portal I'd placed earlier. I added a boom in with the honeys with a plan to largo them up, but this central area of my ranch was now officially full, so I had no room for my baddies, crystals, or the pomegranate. I desperately needed a ranch expansion, but because I'd been saturating the market, all the plots I had on hand weren't making much profit.
Oh, dude, the prices just get tanked so hard.
Fortunately, I had a pretty good volume of plots available, thanks to the wonders of favorite foods. So I worked away for quite a while, but I still did not have enough money. So I went to bed. When I awoke, the farms had regrown, and the slimes were once again hungry.
Okay, I got enough money for something. Which area do I open first? The batty slimes will probably like the cave. Let's just do the cave.
Batty slimes do indeed enjoy caves. In fact, they get hungry more often when out of the sun, meaning you can exploit them for even more profit. So the den was a good choice. Further around here, I discovered there was another expansion I could purchase for 6,000 new bucks. I quickly squeezed out a couple hundred more new bucks and used it to make a farm in the den.
If I just make the pomegranate farm and then leave these guys to their own devices in here, surely they'll be fine. Maybe we can just fill this cave with these dinguses.
And that was the beginning of a very serious batty crystal infestation down in that cave. I slept and had another session of slime profiteering, and then it was time for some fabrication.
Some rocket porters in here. I believe can afford an extra tank. This is huge.
This was indeed huge. A 5th tank for my backpack and more storage on the go. When you start with just 4 slots, going up to 5 feels absolutely amazing. Back over in the Amber Valley, I made it my next mission to blow up this big buff head, feeding him as many veggies as I could. I was kind of struggling to find those veggies though, and he refused to pop.
I've been searching far and wide for vegetables for you, my friend.
At least I was able to fill up on science materials while I was at it. I noticed there was a cave behind this waterfall, so I headed behind the water to check it out.
Boom. A tabby. And a batty.
A big old door requiring me to feed 3 hungry slime statues. That seemed serious,
Seid
so
für
I whipped out a
alles
notepad so that I'd remember which plots to bring.
There's no more vegetables in the universe, bro.
At this point, I gave up on the veggie-loving crystal idiot and began trying to feed this tabby chilling out above the sink. But I was going to need way more chickens, more materials, more pods, and I managed to bring a batty plot to the mysterious door, so that was progress. And then I switched to border allegiance yet again. This time, I brought some fruit to the batty chilling in the cave. Also, I found my first strange diamond, a rather rare resource. where I collected some lava dust. Quite a lot
Wir
of it's
werden
not bad,
siegen.
actually. A solid lava dust farm, no doubt. And I managed to jetpack a little bit deeper into the Ember Valley. The problem was, 4 of my backpack slots were full of science materials, and I couldn't decide whether to hoard veggies or fruit in the 5th slot.
The big boom. Adding a massive something rather.
I jumped about exploring the surrounds, and I was soon rewarded with the 3rd and final map reveal of the Ember Valley. And the Gordo fails had been demoralizing, but
I mean, at least I'm stocking up on some of this crap.
I backtracked and managed to collect a whopping 10 carrots. Surely that would do the trick.
Finally. We got him. We got him. I don't even know where he's sending me.
He sent me up, and after a short climb, I arrived at a lovely oasis. I found a pod beneath the waterfall, and there were quite a few puddle slams here, but that was about it. It was not the most rewarding Gordo you've ever seen. I returned home to enjoy a session sinking many refinement materials. I even sunk a few puddle plots, and then I had a stroke of genius, or maybe just a stroke. But I made a refinery link and placed it down for a test.
Okay, when you place it, you have to wait a minute before you can deposit stuff. But still, that's not bad if you just chuck it down while you're running about.
A great discovery. And then it was time for ranch chores. I was pleased to see no Largos had escaped. I'd carefully limited each corral at about 6 or 7 Largos max, and that seemed to be working just fine. I made money. I used some boom plots to buy the first dash boots upgrade, so my sprinting would use less energy. I made more money. And I should mention, energy use in this game is a bit of a headache when traversing the range. Both sprinting and the jetpack use it, and it regenerates pretty slowly, so any energy-related upgrades were a good get.
Baddie plots are not too bad. Maybe I just save up heaps.
I sunk some angler plots into the refinery and made use of the storage cell I found in a pod to make the second tank booster, which increased my max stack size to 40. And I decided to plant another pomegranate tree in the cave, because I had a plan to go nuts with the batty crystals. Currently, I was selling a lot of plots, for not that much profit. And that was fine for the early game, but I figured it was time I played the plot market a little. The plan was to hoard all my batty and crystal plots in their silo, and then keep an eye on the prices. Once a favorable sale price showed up for either of those plots, I would sell like crazy. Victor had decoded the AI's message, and it held instructions for back and forth communication, so Victor and the AI were now chatting. Victor claimed the AI sounded lonely. Mochi claimed the drones on Rainbow Island were super advanced, perhaps from aliens or from the future. Ogden claimed the plants of Rainbow Island were unnatural, and Thora got in touch to say hello and give me a bell. Based on the ramblings of my friends, it seemed this place I'd come to was a little wacky. I had a session exploring the Rainbow Fields.
Guess my methodical exploring is working, yeah, because I'm up to 10 out of 18 thingos found now.
10 out of 18 pods for the Rainbow Fields. Not too bad, but not that good either. Where the heck are the other 8? Oh, here's one. As you can see, I was hoarding a lot of fruit while exploring, but when I got to the Ember Valley, I was distracted because I found some random ruins. They were quite lovely. They even had stony egg lamps, which I stole. They also featured a door with a sneaky angler statue hidden around the corner. I went and found an angler plot and returned to open it up. Inside, I found a pod holding a rather intriguing item.
Golden Shore Shot module. Alright, so this is where I need to test my theory.
My backpack was full, but I wanted this primordial oil. It was time to use the refinery on the go. I had to wait a minute, but then I was free to sink to my heart's content. Pick up more stuff, and then sink that too. A lot of stuff got sunk, and at the end I just picked the refinery link up again. I popped a couple more pods, and it turned out that I brought way more fruit than necessary to pop this big dingle-dongle. And yes, please, give me all of those baddie slimes. It turned out that Batty Gordo was blocking a path that led through to the final lava area, so that was just an alternate route opened up. Why not? I did my refinery link strategy, and I could indiscriminately collect all the materials of this area, and I was keen to grab any crystal slimes too. Also, when you squirt stars with water, they explode in majesty, like a deranged party popper at a surprise party for sewer dwellers. I found a golden pot, and it gave me a strange diamond, and I don't know how many materials I gathered on this mission, but it was enough to give me a good head start on plenty of upgrades. I found another lovely ruins up in the high places. Check out the view down below. Inactive portal entrance. I then got busy making the most of my jetpack to climb atop the mountain here. I didn't find anything. Nothing except vertigo. I felt I'd exhausted my options exploring up high, so I dropped down below where the inactive portal was. I found another pod, and it appears I came full circle all the way back to the lava area from a different angle.
Look at this guy. Who are you? Ringtail. I describe as ringtail slime. They only produce plorts when they first eat, and then they just overeat and waste all your food.
That sounds like a recipe for inefficient slime exploitation, so I would have just ignored the ringtails if I could have, but I needed some of their plorts for upgrades at the fabricator, so it was essential I kept at least a few. I returned to explore this big tower a little more thoroughly, and was rewarded by a pod, but I gotta say, this was risky business, as I walked on a tiny ledge above the deadly slime sea. I was looking for some way to activate the portal above, but I couldn't find one. At least I didn't drown. I planted my refinery for yet more lava dust collecting, and this was by far my longest expedition yet, thanks to this thing. Also, I sang an awesome song. Sometimes it burns my butt, sometimes it burns my my butt? I believe that song is about lava, which sometimes burns my butt. I finally returned home, and the first order of business was shooting the 21 baddie slimes and 16 crystal slimes I'd collected into the den here. Soon they were all Largos, and it was absolute chaos. I added the nutrient and sprinkler upgrades to one of my farms, which meant it would grow twice as fast and always yield the maximum number of pomegranates. And the silo began to fill. I did the usual chores on the main part of the ranch, and I was very pleased that the boom plots were selling for 38 a pop, and before long I had a few thousand new bucks, which I used to buy the Archway Ranch expansion. This area had quite a few archways. I found another GG log drone, and it was reiterated yet again that some calamity had befallen these lands. And I had a few more plots to work with down here, so I got to work, starting with a coop.
Make more chickens.
And I made a corral over here for the ringtails. But I was rather bewildered when they changed forms.
Wait. Oh, what? Oh, I did see some of these things. Wait, are they now dead?
I read the Slimepedia entry on these ringtails, and it turns out they turn into stone when exposed to sunlight.
Will they return to flesh if it's night, or are they stone forever now?
I turned a quick profit and bought a solar shield for their corral, and I had my answer.
Hey, they did come back alive. Great news.
I soon had my first couple of ringtail plots. These dinguses kept sending me random gifts. Also, a wild bob appeared.
Bob! Hello, Bob. Hey, Bob. As gifts for you. Yay, chickens. Rainbow mound. Thanks, Bob.
That earned me the achievement for chatting to all 5 old friends using the comm station.
Bob. Hello, Bob. Hey, Bob. Hey, Bob.
I realized I could buy 2-way teleporter blueprints from Prontomart. Good to know, though they were a little expensive. And it's fair to say some silly willies were afoot down in the den. It was a little bit of a mission navigating all this, especially because the crystal slimes have a bad habit of leaving treacherous spikes all over the place. But the plots were piling up fast.
240 plots there already.
I then went on a chicken hunting mission. So many chickens.
Hit me. Hit me. Hit me. That was glorious. Oh, I'm electrified. Does that mean I have extra energy?
It did indeed for a short while. I also earned an achievement for receiving Zeus's wrath.
Surely this is enough. Come on. No way, it's not enough. Oh, there's another one here. Oh, bro. Oh, what are these? Oh, what the heck? Is that happening because of the lightning? I didn't even realize.
I grabbed some of these fire slimes.
He's so big though. He's filling the whole doorway now.
And yes, lightning strikes sometimes leave behind science materials. So I was able to collect a decent bounty of storm glass as I happily allowed myself to be struck over and over.
Wait, lightning motes now? Okay, this is getting out of hand.
Yeah, not only storm glass, but some lightning motes too. Also, some tornadoes whipped up. So I got rid of the fire slimes to make space for a new variety of slime.
Don't you do it? Yes, we got the dervish. We got the dervish, baby.
I believe these only appear with the tornado weather event, so they're quite rare.
I think they like prickly pears. Yeah, we should get some prickly pears.
I managed to feed Big Wolf here a few more chickens, but he was...
Die
I
Gerechtigkeit
believe this
ist
hasn't been enough chickens. It's a Briar hen, so it really likes it. Oh, yes. I don't think I was going to be able to find more chickens, so this is the one that worked out.
Our refinery dumped some goodies, and another tornado whipped up, so I was hoping for a second dervish. But I got a different reward.
What's this? Drip crisp.
I was getting random weather-related science materials willy-nilly, and the door in the giant wall was finally open, so it was time to see what was what. A double Pokeball gift. I'll take that any day.
Amber Valley Portal.
I also found the most revealing GG log to date. The GG log person had come to Rainbow Island with help, except they didn't end up being very good helpers. They were greedy. They wanted to profit from the island, rather than to fix
Immer noch so
the
viel.
and they contributed to the collapse. I continued deeper, and by the look of it,
Unsere
this was
Feinde
a
werden
establishment,
fallen.
though a little run down. I soon arrived to find a happy little guy shooting a beam of light, and across a treacherous gap was a door.
What?
There was a device of some kind over here, opposite the light beam, but the light was blocked by fallen debris. I wasn't exactly sure what I was looking at, but it seemed I had no options for now.
I have a feeling I'll be back.
The storm was still going nuts outside, so I took advantage, and I actually ended up needing barely any of these materials, but it is a treat to be repeatedly struck by lightning, so it's all good. I was also on the hunt for prickly pears, the favorite food of dervish slimes. I returned to the top of that waterfall and claimed a few before returning to the ranch. Victor informed me the AI was not an AI after all, because apparently it drinks coffee, and I got busy depositing plots. And I was soon able to make the Ember Valley portal. I popped it down here.
I don't have to run all the way to here every time I want to go here now.
I planted a prickly pear and built a corral for the dervishes down in the archways area, and I used the final plot to build a pond, because I brought back a few puddle slimes. These guys don't need to be fed anything. As long as they're in water, they just chill out, and periodically produce plots for free. I then returned to the Starlight Strand. It seemed I was pretty much done with the Ember Valley, so it was this area's turn now.
Oh. Oh wait, what do I feed him? I don't have anything to feed him. No, that was a gold slime. Oh, if only I had something to feed him.
Gold slimes cannot be caught, but they do produce gold plots if you manage to shoot food in their face. So that was a missed opportunity. I zipped about looking just about everywhere, and I don't know if you've noticed, but this area was half purple, half half blue. I got in a rumble with these dinguses and managed to get a rock plort. I found my first wild honey. Sweet. And I used that rock plort to open this door. This was a bit of a disappointing one because somebody had already opened the pod in here.
Wait, what? I've already been in here?
I climbed up and across fallen trees and found myself where the purple and blue meet. I jetpack zoomed across gaps, I claimed science materials and pods, and I thought this was a mint mango, but it was actually moon dew nectar. I placed down my trusty refinery link and made the space to collect some of the nectar, and soon learned it was not a science resource.
Favored by the flutter slime.
Look at that pretty tree. Also, I've been saving up fruit for this big buffer. Not enough though, he did not pop. I found a wild angler plort and used that to open up another door.
Another open doorway. Ooh, this is a fancy place.
There wasn't too much to find in here, and I was soon venturing deeper into the area, and I'd managed to collect a lot of fruit.
This has got to be enough. Oh. Give me these. Flutter slimes. New slime. New slime alert.
Flutter slimes fluttering about. I found a big hole, and I soon wandered around a corner to see a big stone ringtail chilling.
That Largo will wake up at night, I believe. They eat anything though, so that'll be a bit easier to do.
That is a Gordo, not a Largo, but yeah. And either way, give me lots of fruit, please. Soon I arrived at the edge of the area, at the big old wall.
Popping off. There's a flutter dingus. We got some more map.
By the look of it, I'd now fully revealed both the Ember Valley and Starlight Strand maps, and both were connected to the giant wall. I paid the big boy in the middle a visit.
Hello. I'll give you one of these. Look at this. Ooh. Wait, what? Whoa. That is trippy.
It was now nighttime, so I returned to the ringtail Gordo and gave him a generous fee. He soon exploded to reveal a teleporter, which I immediately entered.
Oh, no way. Shortcut to the south. That's great. Okay, awesome. This is one of the platforms I found I didn't understand.
So I now had a shortcut relatively close to my base that took me all the way deep into Starlight Strand. Very nice. I was still determined to pop the silly honey Gordo, so I backtracked and finally he popped in a sticky explosion, and I gained entry to a cave that led to water.
Zu viele Optionen, meine Fresse.
There was a pod, so that was good, but I had a problem.
How do I get out of here though? I don't think I can get out of here.
The jetpack has limited lift, and I knew it couldn't reach up the way I'd come, so my only option was out to sea, hoping I'd spot somewhere to land. And there was definitely somewhere to land straight ahead that I'm pretty sure I could have reached, but I think I panicked.
Oh dear. Nope, I'm dead.
I didn't lose much, so it wasn't really a big deal. Just a free trip home. I upgraded my health, which earned me the achievement for crafting 8 unique player upgrades, and I realized the second vac tank upgrade was within reach. I mixed my ringtails with the dervishes so that I could farm ringtail plorts a little faster, and I collected so many plorts, but I still needed more money.
Sale of baddies has gone up. Maybe I should just do that today.
So I collected many batty plorts, but I didn't want to carry 40 at a time all the way to the market, so I crafted a market link. Old mate gave me a rather useful gift, and I finally remembered I had a random Yoki slime in here. I popped it in with the chuckins to see if it could work its giant egg magic. I realized I could fabricate the blue home portal immediately, so I did, and as you may have noticed, I actually held off selling the batty plorts because I figured I better wait for midnight. Because if I only had time to sell half and the day ticked over, the sale price would have plummeted. It was better to use a fresh day to make sure I could sell all of them in the one day. The price did drop to 36, but that was good enough for me. So I set up the market link in the cave, and it let me sell like a madman without having to run back to the main market terminal. I think I sold close to 300 batty plorts, which made me about 10,000 new bucks. I used some of that cash to upgrade the farms in here, so I'd have an even more effective free-range cave of chaos.
And then hopefully the crystal plort price climbs.
Ah, da war er.
A big egg! Oh, what the heck? What are those? Oh, Yoki plorts. Break a Yoki slime egg.
As you can see, there were a lot of chickens. I don't remember chickens being such effective breeders in the first game, but here they were absolutely going for it. I had no idea if I would need these Yoki plorts, but I chucked them in the refinery. And then I was on a mission for silky sand. I needed a bunch for the next back upgrade, so it was high priority. And here's why I
Die ewige Sonne wird uns leiten.
this with a big fat tab. It soon exploded and opened another shortcut.
Alright, so I'm gonna teleport up from here to here. Nice.
I somehow only found 6 silky sands though, so that was a letdown. But the day hadn't ticked over yet. The batty plorts were still at 36 for a few more hours, at which point they would probably halve in value. I figured I might as well make hay while the sun shined, and I managed to earn another few thousand new bucks in profit.
Quick, one more before the day ends.
These enormous eggs were now a regular occurrence. I pity the chicken that pooped that out. And with 4 ringtail dervish largos, I was able to collect a better number of ringtail plorts, thanks to the prickly pears. I'd fallen into the sea with the flutter slimes I'd caught earlier, so I sucked up a few more of those.
How am I ever gonna get enough nectar to feed this guy?
I did try to plant Muju nectar on the farm, but that obviously did not work, because that would make no sense. You can only collect it in the wild on some flowers, but it seemed rather rare, so popping this flutter gordo was going to be tricky. Since they are moon dew nectar, none was available during the daytime, so I'd have
Nur 40 Minuten
Now I
gedauert.
got down here.
Hunter.
Ich hoffe, es hast du dir viel verkauft?
Aha. Something new.
A new variety of slime and delicious silky sand. There was a massive area with pretty much nothing in it over here, and I soon headed back up because night had fallen and I wanted some of that nectar. As I said, it appears on the flowers around and about, but I was having trouble finding many. Either some cheeky flutters had already eaten what was available, or I was bad at looking. Judging by these many plorts, I suspect some
Seid
flutters may
für
have been at
alles
least
bereit.
partially to blame. I managed to feed Gordo a few before the day came around once again.
Hunter station.
Die finsteren Zeiten werden vorübergehen.
That's
Schorelara.
just a shortcut to here.
So the map had well and truly opened up to me. Now I just need to figure out how to get past the giant wall.
Absolutely huge upgrade, dude. Extra tank 2 is amazing. I need storage cells though so I can get bigger stacks.
With that, I now had a 6th backpack slot, very nice, and I bought access to the Gully Ranch expansion.
Why's there funny noises here? Wait, what is that?
Gehen wir
See
erst
that?
noch
It's
die.
flying over there. Am I supposed to follow it? A weird phasing out of existence almost. There it is. What is it doing? It did leave me here. Hello. Ghostly drone. The quantum component you just acquired vibrates with an almost otherworldly energy.
That component added a new blueprint to the fabricator.
They flicker through obstacles and store items in the quantum cloud. They do tasks in the ranch or out on the range. I'm definitely going to have an entire section just for farming flutter bees then.
Making a single drone requires 100 flutter plorts, so I needed to go big. I planted a bunch of prickly pears in the gully, I unleashed the 20 flutter slime I brought back, and I used some dervish plorts I'd farmed to begin making dervish flutter lagos. This was a new
Okay, so
free-range
überlagert.
setup, designed for flutter plort drone farming, and the dervish plorts would be farmed for profit.
Flutters are pretty easy to collect, so I'll go get more flutters soon. So I'll put my hunters in here, which is perfect position actually, because they eat meat.
5 Tage, 3
Meanwhile,
Stunden.
Victor had been chatting some more with his AI, not AI pen pal, and it had given him a blueprint.
Complex blueprint of partial schematics. Almost alien code.
He said something about a labyrinth, too.
What is the grey labyrinth, dude?
Lange ist es her, wo ich hier war.
I just need silky sand. Dude, it's not even expensive.
Apparently this radiant projector was what I used to blast past the mysterious door that had stumped me earlier.
Alright, let's get the best.
Seht meine Wachen,
Sprinting should be more efficient.
35
die
Punkte.
Geister sollen euch segnen.
I then headed out to collect more flutterflies and I was able to feed Big Dorcas 6 more.
How many do I need to give you, dude?
I used the daylight to track down more silky sand. I managed to collect 15.
The radiant projector. Help restart
Blut und
Just what the
Donner.
doctor ordered. I grew the fluttered dervish chaos a little and began hoarding, and I managed to sink over 100 flutter plorts.
Oh, I need 3 more wild honey.
I then randomly bought a bunch of cheap blueprints for some reason, but this red teleporter blueprint was a good purchase.
That's how expensive the two-way teleporters are. I don't have any of the resources yet. There must be a new zone to go to.
I diligently attended to these lunatics, and I was beginning to be a little bit more picky selling the plorts produced on my early game ranch. Cottons were selling for 22 today, so I thought that was decent. I was being picky partly from a profit maximizing angle, but mostly from a laziness angle. I ventured forth to the Ember Valley, where I revisited the hole in the wall once guarded by a big boom, and I played around with bouncing light.
Gotta get this beam projected. Reaches there, but I can only bring the beam like there.
It seemed pretty clear that I was going to need a second radiant projector. This bloke just kept giving me portals. I made a second projector, and it was night, so I headed to the Starlight Strand.
You. Lucky slime. Meat. I don't have any meat for you.
I quickly scooped up some nectar.
I got 4 more for you, dude. Oh, there's enough.
I think he only ate about 10 total, so it wasn't so bad after all.
Oh, okay.
I resisted the hole for now because I wanted wild honey. I managed to collect 18. Fire slimes are like puddle slimes. They can't become lagos and they don't eat normal food. I thought they just needed to hang out near the heat of an incinerator, and that'd keep them happy. So I got rid of this prickly pear bush and whacked one of those down. But the fire slimes wandered about aimlessly, so this didn't seem promising. Also, I actually needed that prickly pear bush for the dervish ringtails, so I don't know what I was doing. Anyway, time for ranch chores. The corrals in the main area of the ranch were getting a little overfull with plorts, so I figured I'd better sell some, and that helped me afford my first drone. I wasn't sure what the best use for this guy would be, but I decided to put him down in the Flutter Dervish free range area.
Target plorts from free range into the silos. Go.
And off he went. I fully upgraded this silo so that it could fit a max of 1200 plorts, and I grabbed some plorts.
24% battery. If I put 1 flutter plort in there, 38. Okay.
So just a handful of plorts was enough to charge drones up, but you can actually overcharge them.
108%. I can just get them to go out into the wild and collect stuff?
You can indeed get them to collect plorts or science materials out in the range, which became incredibly useful later. I was excited about this new frontier of automation, so I made sinking many flutter plorts into the refinery a priority, because as soon as I had more drone modules, I wanted to make more drones.
I mean, do I just leave my drone? Here he goes. He deposited 50 of those flutter plorts. Alright, I'm just gonna leave him. Hopefully that means it just keeps working while I'm not looking.
I then tried to jetpack while low on energy, and I fell into the sea. And I woke up the next day to notice that dervish plorts were selling at a sale price of 63.
It's quite possible the ceiling gets higher, but 63 a pop seems pretty good to me.
And so I had a session sinking dervish and flutter plorts into the market and refinery respectively.
Alright, so that's everything that was stored up, which was about 250, 260, 270, I don't know. Well, while I've been here, I'm pretty sure these guys have been munching.
I did a little collecting to finish off the dervish market dump, and it was a profitable day for sure, as I now had over 25,000 new bucks. It was then time to play around with beams of light, and 2 radiant projectors did the trick.
Hey! It worked. Open the door to the Grey Labyrinth.
At long last, I had made it through the massive wall.
This is looking trippy. Ow! I guess I go in.
And so I arrived in the Grey Labyrinth.
It's like a nut. It's a whole nother world.
I'd just come from the Ember Valley, and this area of the Grey Labyrinth stuck with that theme, as lava was about. And there were some shadow slimes bouncing around too.
I can't collect you and you have no diet? Why are there bees here?
I collected some magma combs and tin petals, 2 new science materials. I didn't know what to do with these shadow slimes. They were rather skittish and seemed to disappear after being disturbed by me. But when I dropped down into this lava-filled nonsense, I discovered a shadow plort. I have no idea how that got there. After making some space, I sucked it up, which gave me the Shadow Slime Slimepedia entry, which told me their plorts are essential to solving puzzles in the labyrinth.
I don't know how their plorts get made, but hopefully I find some more somehow.
I climbed back up and continued deeper, and around the corner I found a hologram of a girl, ready to have a chat with me.
It's you! I can't believe it! Oh my gosh. Hello Beatrix. I mean, Miss LeBeau. I mean, is Beatrix okay? Sorry. I just can't believe I'm talking to you right now. You're kind of a legend where I'm from.
After she got over her starstruck silly willies, she told me she was Gigi, the same Gigi from the GG logs. She's the one that sent me the random boat I'd arrived here on, and she wanted my help to save the world.
Something from outer space crashed into Rainbow Island and began to change things. The Prismacore.
Apparently this alien Prismacore is what made Rainbow Island so colorful.
Traverse through the Grey Labyrinth and find Gigi.
She said it started with color, but the Prismacore eventually makes things change elements. And when that happens, things get dangerous. She wanted my help to stop it. I got busy exploring the labyrinth, because if the fate of the world was at stake, I figured I'd better get on the move. Although that's not true at all, because I am famously a dilly-dallier, who can't resist stopping constantly to collect resources.
What do I do with this?
It appeared to be a sun-looking something, so I shot my singular shadow plort at it. It ate the shadow plort, and rotated just a tiny bit. I kept on the move, and labyrinth is correct. This place definitely had a lot going on, with plenty of twists and turns. I found another of the weird sun thingos, and I flicked a switch to open the way forward. By this point, I'd googled how to get shadow plorts. You just have to attack the shadows. If you hit them directly with any projectile at all, they'll pop out a plort. Sadly, I had 0% accuracy.
Dude, I don't know what the hell's going on, man. I'm so lost. The thingo's on the map now. The thing I need to put shadow into.
I found a big pipe, so I went into it and soon emerged into a rather large area, bustling with slimes. A hungry rock statue watched me from above, and I couldn't help but notice there was something strange about this chicken.
Unstable meat. The hell does that mean?
All of the food here was unstable for some reason. I fed this slime some unstable fruit, and I noticed that fruit was flying everywhere.
The hell? They're getting sucked out of my back. What? Oh, unstable plort.
If you feed them unstable food, they'll give you unstable plorts. Makes sense. But also, I had no idea what was going on, especially because one of the key traits of unstable plorts is that they like to fly out of your backpack unbidden.
Can I even hang on to these unstable plorts? They're just gonna keep flying out of my bags.
But when I walked close to a weird shimmery golden thingo, that worked in my favor.
What is this? What is this?
I soon realized there were some yellow plorts on the ground.
Oh, Prisma plort. Oh, if I put the unstable plorts into those things, I get... Oh!
If you shoot an unstable plort through the funky floaty gold stuff, you get a prisma plort. Good to know. I continued forward and activated this device, opening up a rather majestic door. And with that, I was out and enjoying the sunshine once again.
Holy billy, this is huge.
Gigi explained that it was a prisma disruption that had caused the unstable business. Apparently those come in waves, and I'd need to exploit them in order to collect the prisma plorts essential to our mission. And we were still in the labyrinth, because whoever built this place was rather impressive.
It's actually bigger on the inside than on the outside.
I continued exploring, and I soon found a Polari cherry in a pot. I hovered over the mysterious fog below, and I soon found a new friend.
Hey! Twin slimes.
A good find, no doubt. I also found a giant golden circle something rather. As I climbed this tower, I found another new science material, some black indigonium. I continued to find these shadow plot hungry doobishlackles, and I was just trying to collect as much of the good stuff while getting my bearings. I dropped down here to find a spinny shadow statue, but I didn't have any shadow plots, though I did manage to actually hit this little guy with a tin pedal to the face.
Oh, he dropped a plort.
I gave it to the statue, but I couldn't figure out what that achieved. GG gave me a disruption detector, which detects when those prisma disruptions are coming. And collecting shadow plots appeared to be quite a challenge, especially up on these walkways.
Sloomba? What the heck's a Sloomba? Dude, what is going on here, man?
There was a lot to see and a lot to take in, but I probably should have used something less valuable than tin pedals to shoot at these shadows.
Dang it, I think I just threw a bunch of... Wait, what? Oh no. There was a path down there. Oh, you idiot. I just walked straight into some fatal dust.
In my defense, there was a path down there, and I love dust.
Hey, get back in there.
I think that fella was so hungry he managed to escape. And oh well, let's just pretend I didn't lose a bunch of valuable stuff, and instead claim that death was a lovely shortcut home to some ranch chores. I bought the tank guard upgrade.
So now if I die, I won't lose as much stuff?
That is very useful for someone like me. Meanwhile, I found the drone lacking, but it wasn't really his fault.
They don't eat unless I come here.
By the look of it, the slimes don't load in unless I'm near. I needed to drop by so they'd all munch on pairs, and then the plots would drop and old mate drone could get to work picking them all up. I wish they just constantly ate and pooped while I was away, but that didn't seem to be the case.
Alright, almost everything is on the board now. That's the unstable slime. The twin slimes are worth 80. If only I hadn't gone into toxic dust with all my twin slimes.
It's fair to say, tending to all the many slimes on my ranch was now quite a long process. But it did lead to another tank guard upgrade.
I want to go drop into that hole. Thanks, Bob. So these idiots are slowly giving me stuff for the Slimepedia, which is great. Alright, so what's down here?
I dropped down the hole at the end of the Starlight Strand and found exactly what you could have guessed. Another big honkin' door requiring some light beam redirection. And then I fell off a cliff.
Oh, dude. Oh, I actually kept some stuff. Oh, I kept the crystal. That's great.
That's what I found the good shortcut to have.
I'm gonna buy this while I'm here. Why not? Time pulse. Come here. No, don't run away. Okay, so now we can make another drone.
My first drone had done a pretty good job filling up this silo, but I needed more wild honey to make a second drone, and I needed to do some collecting to make more radiant projectors too. So I got busy. I collected silky sand, I collected wild honey, I ran around like a headless goose, and I was soon performing light beam bounces with a couple brand new radiant projectors. It opened up to an area much like the weird funky portal.
Auf Männer! Gebt den Kampf auf!
And I'd brought a stack of rock plorts purely to shoot at shadows, so I had a little more luck collecting some shadow plorts. I found some aqua glass, another new science material only found in this area. I found another shadow plort door and figured I might as well sink my shadow plorts into it. And when I wandered over here, it was shadow slimes galore, so I let loose with a wild stream of rock plorts. It actually worked out pretty well for me, as I managed to collect 17 shadow poops. I decided to test how many this thing actually wanted. Apparently more than 21. By the look of it, it just needed a few more to rotate fully tonight. These tight hallways were definitely the optimal place for shadow plort farming. It makes the slimes way easier to hit, and so what was my reward?
It's a sloop. Well, I mean, I need full Slimepedia for 100%, so it is what it is.
I also needed to open all the shadow doors, which are essentially the pods of the Grey Labyrinth, so this was good progress. And I must say, the underwater vibe with all the coral and shimmery reflections, pretty cool. I once again explored thoroughly, collecting as I went.
What do you want? You want angler and you want boom.
I was at least able to get an angler, and I soon made my way to this massive area.
This place is huge.
I'll take some random free shadow plorts. Look at that bloke stuck on the wall, what a dingus. And it seemed the only way was up, so up I went as I began opening up the area a little. I attempted to go higher still, but my jetpack didn't seem cut out for it, so I thought I was at a dead end, and backtracked for some more shadow slime abuse, which was quite fruitful actually, and I was trying to figure out if there was something that I'd missed. I then realized I just hadn't been creative enough with my jetpack movements. There were in fact enough platforms staggered such that I could slowly work my way up.
Oh, one out of 20.
Nice.
I slapped another button and I was able to go up even further, and up and out down a
komische
tube and
Streitkolben.
through to the more open area of the labyrinth that I died in earlier. I used the refinery link to clear some bag space and got down to business. I found a disruption area with instability shenanigans going on, so I took advantage of that and managed to collect a few Prismaplorts. I scooped up some twin slimes. I sunk 25 Shadow Plorts to pop another one of these things. I harassed some shadows, and I tried to pop another Shadow Plort door.
Oh, this one's hungry. It wants more than 25.
I made my way over to this impressive building, and up the stairs to some more beams of light. I needed more radiant projectors.
I wonder if I can just collect the ones that I've already used. Surely that won't make the door close.
I headed back into the lava section of the labyrinth, where I used a rock plort to open a door. I secured some more Prismaplorts. I opened another door using a rock plort, and I realized I'd made a very convenient shortcut that ran straight through. So that was good news. I returned to the building with the light puzzle, but before long I realized this wasn't actually possible with just 2 radiant projectors. I needed a third. It felt like it should work, but it just refused. So I quickly hunted down some baddie plorts and found my way back into the watery area, where I used the baddies to open some more shortcuts. I took any opportunity I had to headshot shadows, and in these tight hallways it was working wonderfully, and I soon had a full stack of 40. And of course, through the portal I went to grab the other 2 radiant projectors. I then accidentally found a massive area that I was pretty sure I hadn't been to before. I pressed a button to make a window dematerialize, and I figured I might as well sink my Shadow Plorts to make space for more. And this door was very hungry. 40 only fed it halfway. I then finally returned to finish the light puzzle, and I immediately scooped the projectors back up this time. All that effort opened a door leading to a rather large drop down to dusty death.
Huh? How the heck am I going to get over there? I can't fly that far.
It was a beautiful view, but I was worried that if I tried to jetpack over that far, 150 energy would not be enough. And after another Shadow Plort farm session,
Der
I
Mantel.
got out of there. I made some accelerators, and the red returned to the portal, and I
Stuffies.
shoved a bunch of twins into the hunter corral. There may have been a few too many. Polari cherries are twin slime's favorite food, so I got rid of the incinerator, which had failed to keep those fire slimes alive, and instead planted some cherries. And it was definitely too full in this corral, as a couple of Largos escaped, so I shot a bunch of them into the sea. I then pulled up the Slime Rancher 2 map on the wiki, which shows you where all of the pods are, and I got busy collecting. I needed these for 100%, and I wanted some more upgrade parts. I also got rid of the wet lettuce so that I could make a silo
Ja,
to store the
100
Prisma
Gold.
and Shadow Plorts. I collected 3 out of 3 pods around my base first, and then I headed to the Rainbow Fields. The problem was I wasn't sure which ones I'd already opened, so the map I was looking at sent me on a bit of a wild goose chase at times, but it of course also helped me to find plenty that I hadn't managed to find in my exploration earlier.
Oh, what? The drone guy up there. Huh? Hello, you. You, talk to me.
That was a bonus, thank you very much. And just from the Rainbow Field pods, I found a few upgrade parts, and I was able to increase my max energy to 200. I then randomly remembered the note I'd left for myself.
Waterfall north of Ember Valley, Lockport requires boom and tabby. Rainbow Fields is done. Let's go take on the Ember Valley. I need 9.
And so I got busy in the valley.
Oh, there's a storage cell. That's exactly what I needed.
I also found a jetpack drive, and apparently I didn't explore this northern area very well before because I hadn't collected many of the pods up this way. And I guess these drones were out and about now that I'd made my first drone, so that was another bonus.
I left a note in my notepad like 200 years ago about this. Boom. Tabby. What is this? Powderfall Bluffs. Wait, what? Discover Powderfall Bluffs entrance. What does that mean? Going to a whole new place? It's snowy. Are you serious? I missed a whole zone?
Yeah, I missed a whole zone.
There's 24 here? Alright, well, I guess I'm gonna find all 24 of those.
No one told me there was a snowy area, but fair enough. Here we are. I got straight down to business. I found some slime fossils, and as this was a fresh area, snowy fresh, obviously I hadn't collected any of the pods here, which meant I would be able to systematically collect them pretty efficiently. In theory.
Oh, there's sabers here.
In reality, it wasn't so easy, because the cave system was massive and convoluted, and the surface of the land above had plenty of nooks and crannies too.
Oh, here we go. Got some sabers.
I found another new science material, and after an old faithful refinery link dumpage, I picked up the perfect snowflakes. I also sucked up some snowballs.
Get snowballed, you silly boom. Wait, can I get on this? I can get on this.
I bumbled about finding pods and soon exited somewhere up at the surface, where I nabbed another pod and had a quick look around. I found a Saber Gordo up here.
What is this weird business?
This Aurora business only shows up at night, which makes sense. But I was confused as to why I was able to walk on it. No arguments here though.
Yes, another storage cell.
I found a Thundercluck, which I fed to this handsome fella, and I tracked down a map node, which helped a lot with my exploration as the pods continued to roll in. This is where the cave confusion came in as I looked for the
So begierig darauf zu sterben. Ich werde euch mit Freuden dabei behilflich
Oh, I
sein.
missed it.
I just switched to a chicken.
Yeah, I was a little slow on the reaction time there, and another gold slime opportunity went begging. And so it went, getting lost in the caves, collecting chickens, stocking up on sabers, and can you believe my gold slime luck?
Oh, hang on.
Wir dienen dem Leben. Klare Himmel und starke Winde. Leben gedeiht. Beschützt die Flamme. Alexstrasza möge euch schützen. Unterstützt die Insel. Ehrt die Lebensbinderin. Geht und lebt. Unterstützt die Insel. Holf Alanchi. Klare Himmel und starke Winde. Ehrt die Lebensbinderin.
And the gold plort was causing some inventory clogs, so I decided to sink it into the refinery, which was actually the right option in any case. I kind of wish it ticked over to daytime and these bridges disappeared while I was above the ocean, because that would have been big funny. But you get the idea. Science materials and pods. I failed to satisfy this fella, even with 30 chickens, and I tried to climb to the peak of the mountain, but had some trouble. I suspected that was because it was daytime and some helpful bridges had disappeared. All good, I had other daytime appropriate pods to nab. It seemed I was missing one in the caves, but where the heck was it? And when night arrived once more, it was indeed helpful. Finally, I was done collecting many pods.
24 out of 24. Boom.
I finished feeding the Saber Gordo, and that opened up a teleporter, which I went through immediately because I was done with the snow for now.
What the heck? This took me to Ember Valley?
Well, I needed 3 more pods here, so no worries. Except I had no idea which 3 I was missing. I began using a Slimepedia technique, checking what I was missing in the Slimepedia, assuming that would help me figure out which pods to target based on what was in them. This worked well to help me find 2, but the plot of this area was a mystery. I spent a while looking, but I could not figure out which one I was missing. And this one also failed to notice me, so it was an easy plot. I decided to sell this one, and while it did $a few bucks, this was and I gave up on because it was about time I got back to business. I found a power chip in my pod rampage, so I increased my max energy to 250, and I realized you need gold plorts for the golden sure shot upgrade, which is the reason I shouldn't have sold that plort.
Alright, I need so many resources that I can't really be bothered going and collecting.
The drone down here was doing an okay job, but it was time for a change. I could get a bunch more drones if I collected certain science materials, so I tested this thing out on the range. I locked it in the Starlight Strand and told it to collect crafting materials for me. Just then, I was hit with a Vine Tangle event.
What do you mean Vine Tangle? Hey, what's that? What are you doing here?
Tangle slimes show up during vine tangles, so this was a fortunate find. And the quantum drones don't literally collect science materials from the environment, they just magically yoink the materials from the quantum realm.
Well, you're searching the quantum realm for good stuff. I believe in you, bro. Keep it up.
I left it to do its thing, and was very happy when Victor gifted me a pink 2-way teleporter. And I was even happier when I was able to make it immediately.
Wait, what? The rock plorts are at 35? Holy crap.
I hadn't sold anything for a few days, and the market was now quite favorable to all my early game plorts. So now that my drone had been reassigned, I did some flooded dervish collecting myself, and I decided it was time to tidy up the den. So I began burning crystal baddies alive. I ended up with one somewhat overfull corral, and the reason I murdered all these lagos was because I'm lazy. I couldn't be bothered picking up all the free-range plorts anymore. I wanted the convenience of the corral's plort. I purchased the final ranch expansion, the dig site, which is behind the den. That earned me an achievement, and it offered up yet another drone module. I got rid of my pond, and I got rid of the tails and cords of the saber slimes. But I'd brought way too many sabers home, so the rest flopped into the sea. I had dervishes covered over in the flooded dervish free-range area, hence the freedom to get rid of those dervish ringtails. I placed a corral where the pond had been and made the tangles I caught into tangle twins, because that made them easy to feed with the Polari cherries.
So I feel like this bush produces so much fruit. I can feed them both.
I sold some twin plorts, saber plorts, and yoki plorts to earn another achievement.
Sell 15 different types of plorts. Very nice.
And here's why I'd had the freedom to get rid of that pond. The dig site had a far superior pond built in, perfect for my puddles.
Here. So now I can place the other end of my pink teleporter where I like.
This drone had been collecting some random materials. Pretty quickly though, to be fair.
Drift crystals, storm glass, and lightning motes.
You can send these straight to the refinery from the drone console, so that was pretty handy. But these were not the materials I wanted. My guess was I needed to go to a more station, so I went to where honey goes.
Oh, now I can be more targeted. Wait, I can be in this zone. So I was just in the wrong spot before, I think.
And I wanted wild honey, so I targeted wild honey and shoved some plorts in there to charge it up. I also placed the other end of my pink teleporter here, so that managing the drone would be a breeze.
I definitely need more teleporters and more drones, and then I can just get everything automated. I can't be bothered collecting stuff anymore. I'm done with that old life.
I bought the 3 remaining 2-way teleporter blueprints from Pronto Mart, and I earned a very important achievement to pet the Pronto Mart cat. I also upgraded my jetpack, making it more energy efficient.
The Shadow Shore.
I accidentally got the achievement for flying for 5 seconds. I guess the new upgrade helped with that. And my drone was now on a wild so I personally dust, before using the pink portal to visit the drone and shove the 6 wild honey it had collected into the refinery.
Ah, ich
But
brauch
I
die
needed more than
Insigne.
that. So I decided to test what sleeping to pass time would do to my drone's efforts. It got 5 more while I slept, and that's when I realized collecting stuff was going to be extremely quick and easy once I had an army of drones, and a teleporter system to go with them. However, I had spent the 25,000 new bucks I'd earned just a couple of days ago already, and I was broke. The dervish plorts were only at a sale price of 51, but it had to be done.
Alright, I got 500 flutter plorts in the refinery. I'm just gonna sell the rest now.
This took a long time, as I sold hundreds and hundreds of plorts, and it was nice to see the free-range chaos post a solid profit.
Alright, that'll do. We're up to 44 grand, not bad. 13 wild honey while I was doing that. Holy crap, it's effective, isn't it?
Finally, 5,000 new bucks later, a second drone.
If I get strange diamonds and radiant ore, then I can get the snowy teleporter.
And I was now on a mission to, of course, make more drones, because I still had 5 more drone modules, but the 2-way teleporters were high priority too.
You can get strange diamonds, my friend. Go for gold.
Thankfully, this pink teleporter led to a spot where I could get the drones to collect quite a wide range of materials I needed, and so a little drone hub formed.
Switch you to radiant ore for a bit, because I need another teleporter.
I needed various plorts to contribute to my crafting ambitions too, and since my twin hunter corral was overflowing with plorts, I figured I might as well sell some. I slept again at a whopping 20 radiant ores, because it's fast, zero strange diamonds came through, and I in theory I wasn't allowed to have 2 drones in the same location. Both wild honey and radiant ore were collected, which helped me work out the reason the strange diamonds hadn't come through was because they're gathered much slower due to their rarity. I just needed to give it more time. So this is the point in the playthrough where I started randomly sleeping a lot, and soon 3 strange diamonds came through, along with the juicy 24 wild honey. I finally used one of the storage cells I'd found to upgrade the tank booster again. I practiced strategic sleeping, and soon 70 wild honey and 6 strange diamonds had piled up. Along with wild honey, lava dust seemed to be a very in-demand material, so I stole one of the drones and looked around for a suitable location. I soon had the drone collecting lava dust near where that boom gordo had been, and while I was in the area, I did some lava dust collecting of my own. With that lava dust, I made the snowy 2-way teleporter, and I was cheering when old mate sent me another 2-way teleporter blueprint. I was able to send the lava dust to the refinery using the drone set up at the other end of my pink teleporter, so that made things better, and I was running around trying to stuff into the refinery. I soon made a 3rd drone and the blue teleporter, and all the while I kept feeding the terraces, so that I could keep the portal. I made a portal and immediately went through because I needed more saber portals.
Ich hab was gemacht, dafür gestorben.
Annoyingly slowly. So I recruited this drone to help the cause and set up the snowy teleporter next to it for ease of travel. Soon enough, I had the silver quartz necessary for another tank booster, so I was suddenly able to carry stacks of up to 60. I returned to the drone near the lava and set up the other end of the blue teleporter here, establishing handy 2-way travel to the valley. And my order was beginning to look pretty juicy.
Okay, well, I'm in serious business here. What do I do?
The saber plort drone had collected about 70 rather quickly, so I decided that was enough to extract the drone and teleporter. And I also made a 4th drone by this point, so suddenly I had 3 drones chilling by the pink teleporter collecting up a storm. A range of goodies were now coming in thick and fast.
Would you look at that? A bunch more delicious things.
I soon made yet another drone and earned an achievement.
Craft 5 quantum drones. A wonderful achievement. I've also got 1 2-way teleporter spare, so I can go straight to the Grey Labyrinth and immediately begin farming higher tier materials.
And so, after an extremely long detour collecting pods, upgrading like crazy, and establishing a drone economy, I finally returned to the Grey Labyrinth. I began testing spots for the drone to go down, and when I came across this royal jelly, I knew I had found it.
This is what we want. We want royal jelly and black indigonium.
Royal jelly is the rarer material, so I set it up to hunt some of that.
Why is it not?
I somehow had both ends of the snowy teleporter with me. I believe when you pick up either end, it gives you both, but I didn't realize this. So I wouldn't have a good place to move, but at least I'd be able to set up the 2-way link on my next trip back to base. I then set up some accelerators pointing towards the big gap.
Like hypertubes in Satisfactory. Is this gonna work? What is this gonna do?
They are not. They only accelerate plorts, not humans.
It barely even accelerates these. Oh, I thought I was gonna be able to get in this.
So that plan failed, but I had 250 energy now, and a more efficient jetpack, so I was able to make it across the gap anyway. I chained 3 radiant projectors together to get the beam of light where it needed to go.
Is this the end of the area? Dude, it looks so cool over there.
No, it is not the end. In fact, I just opened up a door to another massive area of the Grey Labyrinth.
Hollow?
It featured many glass containers holding bushes. I shot up on some spurty water thingos and made my way over here, which took me through to another GG hologram.
Calling this area the terrarium.
Oh.
The labyrinth as a whole is a facility that was intended to contain and stabilize the Prisma core.
GG reckoned this terrarium was an insurance policy, preserving flora so that it would survive the calamity should things go south. Meanwhile, I never say no to an opportunity to attack a shadow slime. I ventured deeper to find a room with a bit of a puzzle and a door requiring a hunter plort.
Dude, this is sick. Look at this. Little miniatures. I don't know where it wants me to shine this light.
I thought I needed a hunter plort to progress, so I placed a home teleporter. Once home, I placed the other end of the snowy teleporter, I stored some shadow plorts, and I soon returned with some hunter plorts in tow.
I assume the thing I need to shine at is in here? Oh, maybe it's not.
Yeah, I was way off about that, but there was plenty more to explore in this direction.
There's gold here. Even the terrarium is being affected because of the gold. The prismatic crap has turned stuff to gold. That's why the people she was working with originally betrayed her. They wanted the ability to turn stuff into gold so they could get rich.
The elemental changes were beginning to happen, and everything being gold sounds nice in theory, but just ask Midas how it turns out in the long run.
Okay, well, wait, what's this? Hyper slime. Yay!
There was some instability here, so I made some prisma plorts, and the hyper slimes were quite zippy. I wanted as many as I could catch.
Turbo taters. What did that do? Oh, it infused some roots. I can't open that way. Dude, where am I? How big is this flaming area? Turbo tater? Yes.
This whole grey labyrinth business was shaping up to be way bigger than I'd expected. After poking my head into this blue area, I backtracked a bit and found multiple buttons. And I had no idea what was going on, but I guess I was opening up shortcuts. I returned to the blue area and there was plenty of verticality, which meant plenty of exploration was required. But I soon wandered down to find a door hungry for an angler plort.
Butthead. The heck am I gonna get?
That was the end of the road in this direction for now, so I returned to the room with the puzzle, and I guess I forgot to do it earlier.
There's a button. Can't get up. No.
I tried from a different vantage, and the button was pressed.
It lifted the thing.
It was a wonderful thing to behold as the light shot off through that triangle above the door, but I was still confused. A drone fella showed up though, so that was yet another Up even higher, there was one of those thingos that you're supposed to shine the beams of light at, but I had no way of getting the light up there, so I placed a return home portal and received yet another gift from Mr. Humphreys.
Oh, I can make the great teleporter straight away. Amazing.
I also made another drone, and I shoved all the hyper slimes I'd caught into this corral, collecting as many hyper plorts as I could get my hands on. With all the drone crafting I'd been doing, I ran out of flutter plorts, so I had a session.
Nach Schattrat, dann nach Insel von Wilderness und dann jetzt Richtung Molten Core. Dann sind wir mit Classic durch. Warte. Wir haben den Ruf fertig. Wir haben den Ruf von der Star Wars fertig. Wenn ich die Dinger jetzt abgebe. Ja, das heißt hier zurück.
Rather than sending stuff to the refinery, so it started spitting out materials at me. But I correctly sent the other stuff sitting in here straight to be used for crafting.
I got a red teleporter and a grey teleporter.
Ich kann hier leider nicht sterben,
The other end of the
soweit
snowy
ich
teleporter,
weiß.
which took me back to the grey labyrinth, where I switched this over to collect some tin petals before I floated back over the big gap to continue progressing. I brought a stack of shadow plorts with me, which I used to open this door.
Meine Base-Werte sind einfach schon zu hoch. Der Ausrüstung macht einen Scheiß.
Where I took the opportunity to knock over another shadow plort door.
I'm feeling this is a good spot for a teleporter, right? Because it gets me straight up there, and then it also gets me into this magma zone.
Kann ich ihn hier drin resetten?
Especially because I was able to get a drone down to collect magma comb for me. After placing the red one down, I shot back up top. I found a roostro, and
Oh,
I
das ist
dropped
cool.
back down to feed
Symbol
it
ist immer
so that I
gut.
could officially open up the shortcut.
Kann ich mir auch ein anderes geben?
More of the map. I found a cheeky shadow plort door behind some hanging vines, so I began feeding it. And I'd of course brought
Ja.
Quite a view, man. I need to get a light over here somehow. The map is unfolding a little bit more. Does it actually go all these areas? Hang on, that's the beam from the other side. I think I have
44% am
That
Ende.
explains why I couldn't complete the puzzle back in that earlier room.
60% insgesamt mit dem Tempel. Ach, da bin ich. Ach, warum bin ich bei Oro reingegangen? Oh. Oh, neu, die heißt die Agro-Loss haben.
Well, you didn't even need that many taters.
I pressed the button that had been hiding beneath his sizable buttocks, and it lowered a beam down from the ceiling. The beam shot through to that earlier room and reached the thingo with a little help from one of my
Wir haben Brut von Nostradamus fertig. Holy shit. Ich hätte nicht gedacht, dass es so viel ausmacht, dass wir Geburtstag haben.
I'm gonna get over here somehow.
I then randomly had a Pronto Mart session, buying a bunch of crap to earn an achievement to buy 40 items in the Polestar Provisions shop. Alright, so I'm just setting this to be 5 plots for me, because I couldn't figure out how to have 5 plots in my base, so I'll just outsource it. After a brief moment optimizing my drones around
Mit
the
der
map,
Oxiana
I
wird
had an
ja
opportunistic pause to sink shadows
immer
and
noch
stabilize
ewig
prisoners,
dauern.
and then searched for a path to the mystery area on
Das
the
ist gerade
left.
das
I discovered
Wohlwollen.
some more info about Gigi. She got back here through a weird means of travel.
Ah, mal sehen, vielleicht kriegen wir
So she reckons the labyrinth is a
respektvoll
to
heute.
stop the Prisma Core because it's like gonna take over the world with too many colors. You know what I mean? There was a twin statue spinning about up here, and when I went to grab a twin plort, I found a shiny beam I hadn't found earlier. I soon had it illuminating the device and a platform lowered with a spurty water thing on top, which shot me up. Oh, it's a shortcut to glory. What? The beam redirection required here was so simple it's a bit of a stretch to call it a puzzle, but it appeared I was onto something. Alright, there we go. We found the entrance to the next area. That was kinda hard to find. While it was on the brain, I deposited the twin plort into this statue's mouth, and I have no idea what that achieved. If that did something useful, then I have no clue. And I headed through my new door. It took me to a
Darf ich
rather
eigentlich
fertile
Siegel
land,
bekommen
and
jetzt?
unlike the area with the
Waffe?
hyper slimes, this was rather open. It was of course
Ja,
fun to get
ich kann auch
busy
die Quest fertig
exploring.
machen.
I chased an elusive drone around. I caught you, you silly rat. And I soon found the slumber I'd heard so much about. Oh, what's this? Oh, wait. No, come back. Slumber. I hovered over to this pipe and ended up somewhere wet. And in this golden pot, I found a
Sag mir bitte nicht, dass die Quest da unten war.
I changed some light to open up a door, and I gotta be honest, every time I came to this area, everything looked the same. So I had no idea where I was relative to anything else the whole time. All I know is I did get to what I suppose was the end of the area a lot quicker than the last area, as I soon greeted the slumber. Hungry dingus.
Das ist mich immer noch verfolgt.
I was pleased to collect many slumbers, and I found the most finicky light beam puzzle yet, which I eventually solved to open up a door that led to a room with some shadow slimes and a very quick shadow door. I found the absolutely majestic favorite Sweet. What a treat. I did another light puzzle and ended up in another massive purple area. It was just never-ending purple. My goal was to track down more delicious chickens. I eventually found something a little more unique, a big old hedge maze. It was a little bit disappointing as far as mazes go, as I navigated through it without hitting a dead end once.
I'm pretty confident this is going to be the shortcut back to this area, which is where you can get the aqua glass. So I think I'll put my portal here.
I slapped down a drone nearby and
Mr.
started
Kerr.
to collect dream bubbles. And I was soon back on the ranch where the plan was to combine slumbers with hypers, to turn this area into a glorious free-range land of contradictions. But this section of the ranch wasn't the most secure, so I had concerns.
So I hope that these
Das
limbs
wäre so geil.
don't fall off the edge. It seems like there's a little
Wir sind
bit
einfach fertig.
It was
Mit
at
Brut
least
von
a
Nostradamus.
injection of top-tier plots.
Mega.
Yeah, no, this is the problem though. Look, wait, what are you fools? Why are they all, what's your problem, guys? Alright, whatever.
I used slumber plorts to make the berry teleporter, and I was able to make the green teleporter too, so I had two-way teleporters all over the place. Heaps of drone-grown fire plorts came through, and I kept shuffling drone positions to get whatever was in demand. I sold twin plorts at the juicy price of 78, and while I was at it, I figured I might as well offload my hunter plorts. And it was getting to the point where the amount of drone-found materials flying around was getting outrageous. I bought the golden sure shot upgrade, so if I managed to feed a gold slime, it'd drop 2 plorts instead of 1. And I took some chickens to feed this glorious beast. It exploded to reveal a portal, but when I went through, it wasn't what I was expecting.
Wait, there's a teleporter here. Wait, what? I thought it was going to take me there somewhere. And can I even get out of this room?
I could not, and I'd been expecting this to lead to the next section or something, but nope. Clearly, I was missing something. I made another drone, and I picked up an extremely useful upgrade, the Shadow Sure Shot, which means you get double plorts from hitting shadow slimes. I withdrew a royal jelly from the quantum realm, and I grabbed some other goodies I'd been saving.
Give me this. Give me this. Give me this. Have a strange diamond, sunsap, royal jelly, and lightning mote in your vac at the same time.
I
Nice,
finally
bei der
escaped the
alten.
shadow plorts to open this big door, so I now had a
Ja,
shortcut from the water
scheiße.
area, where I set up a drone to collect more aqua glass than I'd ever need.
Ah.
This shortcut was a bit more of a mission to use, as you had to make use of multiple spurty pipes to get back up, but it was another extremely useful one nonetheless.
What's the final teleporter? The amber one. I need one more aqua glass. Yeah, that's all I need.
After a sleep or two, I had 29 aqua glass, and so I made my 8th two-way teleporter.
Oh, this thing just gives you more lore stuff if you talk to the drones.
I decided to try out another drone on the ranch, as I set up a market link in the Hyper Slumber area and told this drone to sell all the plorts here.
If all these idiots don't kill themselves, then we have a chance.
Ja, scheiße.
I'm very curious if he will make me money while I'm just
Egal.
Spoiler
Alex
alert, I
Strasser
think he did.
sieht
But if
euch.
he did, it kind of sucked.
Alex Strasser möge euch schützen. Leben gedeiht.
Then I'd be able to get
Geht
to
und
the
lebt.
prism. But I don't think that's
Beschützt die Flamme.
That's the twin one.
Geht und
Shadow
lebt.
one. That's right.
Die Lebensbinderin segne euch. Leben
Und
gedeiht.
der letzte.
Unterstützt die Insel.
Yeah!
So that's where
Geil.
I put the... Oh, hang on. I thought this was where I
Ehrt
put the...
die
Oh, you
Lebens...
want a Slumber. Yeah, I thought this was where I put the Shadow Claw. Where was the Shadow Claw?
I managed to finish off this Shadow Plort door, and then I returned home to admire my teleporter lineup and headed to grab a Slumber Plort.
Yeah, well, these guys... Oh, there we go. Some money came through.
The drone had managed to sell about 100 plorts. I returned to feed the hungry Slumber, and with that the door below me opened up. And honestly, this door is quite prominent, so I have no idea how I failed to notice
Route
it.
von Asedormus ist fertig.
Up the big tower I went,
Mega.
down a hallway towards an even more majestic door, featuring a twin Gordo who greeted me with a smile. I pressed the button, the door opened up, and through I went, deeper still.
Dropping down.
I dropped down.
Und das nach 5 Tagen Spielzeit.
I made it this far. The Prismacore lies ahead. I'm ready.
I was ready, but on the other hand, I was not ready because I didn't expect the entire landscape.
5
before me
Tagen,
to
4
shift.
Stunden.
Oh. Okay. The toxic dust has been lowered. Oh, that's what that stuff was over there. Okay. We got the whole map, huh?
Das
Dropped down because it was
heißt...
about time I visited the giant dome over there, which I was assuming housed the Prismacore, or maybe it was the Prismacore.
Inaktiv
I was
und die
distracted by
Option
shadows
machen wir
as
als
I walked along the
nächstes.
floating path, and I was admiring the view too.
Very pretty.
I claimed another drone module from this fella.
Golden stuff is shimmering. The world is breaking apart. What's this ball? It's a bowling ball. It's got finger holes. Oh, it's a slime. Kind of shiny, isn't it? Oh, where's this gonna take me? It's gonna take me in the big snow globe, I guess.
In I went to earn the achievement for entering the Prismacore within the Grey Labyrinth.
Hello, GG Twilges West, the Grand Order of Hobson and Thora. Thora only told me recently
Mega.
they were gonna have their first kid. Gigi's from the future. She's from the future where the Prismacore...
Fehlen nur noch die Penner. Und die dauern noch.
Portal beyond space and time in the first game.
Mal sehen, wie viel wir gleich bekommen.
She used it to travel to this point in time so that she could save the world by stopping the Prismacore from exploding. Whoever built the Grey Labyrinth created a device that's called Harmonize. This Harmonizer is designed to stabilize the Prismacore. Yeah, the funny looking walls. I did see some funny looking walls.
Okay, so that was a lot, but basically Gigi is from the future, and she used the weird portal that you find at the end of Slime Rancher 1
Ah, ich bin so weit
to come
geflogen.
back in time to stop the Prismacore from blowing up.
Dude, what? This place is crazy. There's a shower up there.
The shower will become relevant later, but now I needed to shove Prismaplorts into this exchange terminal.
Can't use gadgets here? It's definitely like a comet, right? It smashed in through here. But this was already built when it smashed through.
Ja, nicht noch
Put
smashed.
my amber teleporter
Ja.
right next to the entrance to the Prismacore.
I deposited some shadows and managed to open this room which had a big golden thing, and after grabbing the Prismaplorts I had in the silo back at the ranch, I shoved all 34 into this thing. That earned me a couple of rainbow coins, a currency that can be used at the mysterious night market. And it got me the nullifier blueprint too. By the look of it, more rewards could be claimed from this Prismaplort exchange, but for now I headed home and collected what I needed to make a nullifier. This included a Shadow Plort collecting session, where the double plorts from the Sure Shot popped off in the hallways here.
I think this will be the place to come when I need to farm the Shadow Plorts. There we go. We got the nullifier, baby.
And I had a world-saving quest to do, but I got distracted by the deep impulse to make big money.
The best strategy for money might actually be a drone out on the range, to be honest. I'm just going to get twins. He'll get the twins without me having to worry about food. And then I don't have to physically interact with the plorts at all. They'll appear here in a massive pile. And I can just press X to send to market. And it's completely smooth. So if I just let these two go nuts and collect so many twin plorts...
I left
Gehen wir
my
nach
experiment to run
Ratchet.
and ventured forth with my nullifier. I'd noticed weird shimmery walls around the Grey Labyrinth, and it turned out I'd been onto something. They were indeed weird walls that could be taken down with the help of my new device. I just had to go find them first.
Oh, there's definitely a weird wall in here somewhere. I think I remember a weird wall.
I got distracted collecting Prismaplorts, and I'd been collecting Shadow Plorts at any opportunity too, so I sunk some of those. And then I had to admit there was in fact no weird wall in this blue area. My memory was off.
Here we go, here's one.
I placed the nullifier down, and it did its work to carve a hole in the middle of the funky wall.
Das wird auch
Inside
nice,
was
ey.
the first harmonizer, that big
Das
fancy
auch.
bell-looking dangler. And there were also shadow slimes, which of course distracted me as I let loose with a stream of phosphor plorts. There was also a shadow door in here, so I ticked that one off the list.
Wait, so what am I supposed to do? Oh, just bang it?
That probably should have been obvious, but yes, I just had to whack the harmonizer and it was now activated. And this is when I adopted the chicken strategy. I needed food on me if I saw a gold slime. More specifically, I needed meat on me in case I saw a lucky slime. More on that later. And I of course needed something to shoot at shadows. Might as well tick off all three with one stack of hen-hens. In fact, the chickens move around a bit and sometimes knock more plorts out of the shadow slimes. So this was actually a genius turn.
We need to corner them with so many chickens.
Collecting shadow plorts definitely wasn't going to be too much trouble after all. I googled a map to help me find these shimmery walls because I couldn't remember where any were exactly. And soon I had the second harmonizer activated. I continued chipping away at the shadow plort grind as I moved about, as chickens flew all over the screen. And soon I gave the third harmonizer a whack.
I'm curious about how many twin plorts have I saved up so far?
57, not too bad. I donked another harmonizer, and this one reverberated a lovely blue.
And I'm gonna trap you in here, angler slime. See you, mate. Good luck.
And the shadow doors continued to pop, to great reward.
Another storage cell.
I hoped these fancy golden thingos would give me double prisma plorts, but they did not.
Wait, is this the last one?
It was indeed the last one, and its purple reverberation contributed to the stabilization of the prisma core, somehow.
Does this mean I'm done? With the harmonizers activated and with your help, I can attempt to stabilize the prisma core. She can feel the energy waves of the prisma core in her arm.
When Gigi had visited the prisma core back in her timeline, in the future, and the prisma core had gotten rather unstable, it had affected her arm weirdly, so she was connected to it now, somehow. But anyway, she was going to shove the harmonizer's frequencies into the prisma core, and apparently that was going to cause chaos.
It's like a boss fight. I'm literally fighting a prisma core. What does that mean?
In response to the harmonizer, massive tar abominations began popping up around the room. Lucky for me, there were dollops of water I could suck up, and the water was effective to hold the tar at bay. Random slimes began spawning too, so I sucked those up, because apparently I could use them to cause a glorious shower. As I held off the tar, the health bar of the prisma core was dropping, but when it got down to zero, a giant tar barrier popped up. And I guess we were in phase 2. This is where things got absolutely bonkers. Tar everywhere, random dirty tornadoes flying.
Es ist schön, wenn man sich auf eine Nachtschicht dafür versucht anzugewöhnen. Ich habe jetzt noch 2 Nachtschichten. Ich kann eh nicht schlafen. Also kann ich auch zocken.
Achievement. Where'd the tornado go? Yeah, I got the
Bis mindestens 8 Uhr muss ich noch durchhalten. Die Nachtschicht.
I unleashed a stream of water to deal a good chunk of damage to the giant tar barrier. The big part of the barrier soon came back up, so I had to collect some more slimes in order to fill the shower up and bring it down again, allowing me to deal yet more damage.
Get some big damage in.
Huge damage.
Is it dead? Oh. Yeah, it's dead. Or it's purified or something. Woohoo!
Ist die Map nicht schön?
We did it. Turned into like popcorn? I think it's popcorn now. Prismatic popcorn.
A whole dang boss fight in Slime Rancher. How about that? The threat of the Prisma Core was neutralized and the world was saved. Apparently, Gigi's Prisma arm felt more peaceful.
Help Gigi stabilize the Prisma Core and save Rainbow Island. Now, can you give me a bunch of Prisma plorts?
I shoved some in there and got a storage cell for my trouble, and when I left the area, I was hit with a cutscene.
Gigi left the Grey Labyrinth for the first time, and as long as she can remember.
She went and visited her grandma, except in the past. So I don't know if that was breaking any time-traveling rules or what.
Isn't that gonna break the future?
Du so
Her
much.
mother had just been born. A little baby.
That's her grandparents and her mother. She's slightly older than her mother.
And so Gigi found some peace, but I had some work to do. I began buying toys from the Cuckoo Corner so that I could knock them off the Slimepedia, and I set up a linked cannon.
Fire a plort through a linked cannon, sending it to the plort market.
I made sure to read my mail from these goobers at every chance, because they often sent me stuff I needed for the decoration Slimepedia, and I officially decided this drone on the ranch was a disappointment. Ranch drones in general are poo-poo. I tracked down a painted hen for the Slimepedia entry, and after dark I hit up Pronto Mart, because that's when the night market opens up. I'd earned 5 of those rainbow coins at the Prisma Core's Prisma Plort exchange, so I bought 3 cheap items to earn an achievement.
Make 3 purchases on the night market.
I went to Powderfall Bluffs and hunted down a Thunder Chick, and I tracked down a Candied Chick, too.
So we've seriously got all the resources in the Slimepedia.
I shoved some more Shadow Plorts into a door for another achievement.
Fill 10 Shadow Plort collectors in the
Er wird jetzt deaktiviert.
That door gave me a regen module, which can be used to get quite a juicy upgrade.
Increasing energy regen by 15% is crazy good.
Meanwhile, I was still doing ranch chores, in order to make money or to fund my upgrades and crafting. I got the next tank booster upgrade, and I fabricated the slime ball gold. There's an achievement to get a score of 120 within 60 seconds playing with this thing. And with my first attempt here, I realized this was not going to be very easy. The goal was moving around like a
Das ist auch
loop.
gut.
As you can see, I collected a butt ton of pinks and cottons just to be able to attempt this. I put that on pause for a bit and set up an army of drones collecting twin plorts. 7 drones total. I had a feeling this was going to solve my money problems forever. All I had to do was wait for a favorable market. I tried placing the slime goal in a tight area, and that worked wonders to limit its movement, so it only moved back and
Dann
forth,
leuchten
which
wir
helped
einfach.
me get the score that I needed.
That would be so hard without cheesing like this. How the heck would you do that without cheesing it?
I then set up a return home portal at the end of Rainbow Fields, the area right outside my ranch. I I began doing runs through the area, looking
Cool.
for a particular slime, and once I reached the end, I took the portal home, had a snooze to reset all the slimes, and ran through again.
Oh. Already? How lucky was that? That did not take long.
That was my third run,
Oh, ich
so
doch
it was
nicht.
rather quick. I then began sleeping through days to cycle the Cuckoo Corner stock, because I still needed to discover more toys for the Slimepedia. I kept buying them, but you don't actually have to. You just have to see them in the shop.
So, jetzt nur noch Molten Core.
I slept
Können wir
through
den ganzen
many times,
Bums hier wieder
and I
verkaufen.
collecting over 100 twin plorts per day.
Aber
Meanwhile,
Molten Core kriegen wir noch für
Twins
jedes
just wouldn't show
Mob.
up. Eventually, twin plorts shot up to a
Uff.
value of 80 new bucks.
What's 80 times 4?
Das möchte ich halt so gut wie möglich ausnutzen.
I had to press the D key for 3 minutes
Weil wir haben noch
straight just to sell the
diese
flaming things.
Woche und dann die nächste, da wo ich frei habe.
Oh, 330,000. Not
Ich habe
bad.
Mittwoch, Donnerstag frei. Das ist schön. Kann man beim nächsten Reset nochmal Molten Core laufen, weil wir müssen nicht mehr Tempel laufen, wir müssen nicht mehr Ruinen laufen.
Yes, finally.
Und noch Molten Core, wenn dann für den Ruf. Und das macht die Sache wesentlich einfacher. Machen wir so.
So that is 100% all achievements complete. But I wanted to be aggressive with my completion of the game. I wanted to do the rest of the Slimepedia, all of those blueprints. I wanted to collect the rest of the pods, and I wanted to complete every upgrade. There was a rather big grind
Nicht
ahead of me.
viel.
First up, a strategy to efficiently get Prisma Plorts. The instability disruption pocket thingo moves around the Grey Labyrinth, stopping in an area for minutes at a time. So any given area will
ganzen
have it
Chunk kann ich
active
verkaufen.
pretty often. When it's active, it of course turns any food on the ground into unstable food, which can then be used to farm unstable plorts. This can be chaos in an open area, so I used this room, which I attempted to block off with statues. I placed down these warp depots, which can be used to store items accessible
Dann auf
from
zum
locations
Molten
of the
Core.
depot. And as you can see, I brought an army of
Dann können wir weiter Richtung TPC-Questen.
This room, it has this giant gold thingo permanently, for ease of converting the unstables into prismas. You can actually run through it with the unstable plorts and they convert while in your vacuum.
Das wird alles noch
I was
so
amazingly
spannend.
slow to realize this.
Wait, I can just run through it.
The first attempt earned me 40 prism plorts, which was more than enough to get the next tank booster upgrade, increasing my max stack size to 80. I collected heaps of food, and after some quick ranch plort collection, I was able to increase that stack size again, up to 90. But I needed one more storage cell before I'd be able to max out the tank booster. I was able to get the first regenerator upgrade though. It increases your energy regen speed by 15%. I then returned to my spot and chucked all the food on the ground, and I was very lucky, because the instability returned almost immediately and the food went blue. I got the pinks into the fray, and collected a stack of over 50 prismas. But that was 78 pinks and over 90 food, so it should have been more. I was doing something wrong, which I worked out later. I shot the exact amount of prisma plorts I knew I needed for upgrades into the refinery, and I stored the rest in a silo. And then I moved on to finishing the pods, starting with the Starlight.
Oh, ich würde gerne was klauen, wenn es gehen würde.
I of course pulled out the map on the wiki, and I used the waypoint marker to make this giant pink beam appear, which I followed to check all of the spots. This of course took quite a long time, and when I got down to the last few, it was once again tricky to figure out which I was missing, but I eventually claimed the last one of this area. Next, I set up a teleporter in a more convenient spot in the lava area of the Grey Labyrinth, as this was my favorite place to farm shadow plorts. There are a few shadow slime spawn points in these hallways, so on each run through I checked all of those. I dumped a big stack of shadow plorts in the silo, slept to reset the spawns, and returned for more.
This is
Sagen
going
was
nuts.
davon.
This is going nuts.
Nicht sehr gebunden.
Oh, oh,
Ist wahrscheinlich alles, ne?
this was glorious.
I made use of warp depots for this enterprise
Ja.
too, and after a few runs I had about 300 shadow
Ganze Kacke
plorts.
können wir
So
auch
I decided
verkaufen,
to
außer
start
die
opening
in
doors. I had 12 more to open.
Signy.
Random shadow slime encounters topped up my plort stock even more as I
Ich muss da
wanted,
eh
but
noch
this
mal
was a hard
rein.
slog. I got an injector module
Ja, aber
for
nur um die
another
Quest
upgrade,
abzugeben.
and the most annoying thing was when I ran out of plorts and had to go back home to restock.
halt
Eventually I
eben
had no
verkackt.
plorts left at all, and had to do a couple more runs collecting. But after a couple of hours of this, finally I got it done.
Wenn wir in der Nähe der Höhlen der Zeit sind, dann können wir das nochmal machen.
A
So
sigh of
zwischendurch.
relief, and okay, what's next? A bunch of upgrades is next. But upgrades cost quite a lot of new bucks, and I'd wasted 180,000 earlier for no reason. Luckily, I had just a few more twin plorts to sell at the juicy market price of 84 a pop.
The final heart module upgrade. Nice. The final tank guard upgrade. Nice.
I had to do a little bit of drone placing shenanigans to farm materials I was lacking, and of course, plorts needed to be
Welche Klasse ist das?
Tank booster. Final upgrade. Costs 50.
Sieht mir nach Hexenmeister
Oh, I
aus.
got a fair bit. Reduces the delay before
Ja,
energy
das ist
regeneration by
Hexenmeister.
33%. Is amazing. That delay is actually so annoying.
I upgraded the power core and discovered I needed 50 more prisma plorts. I collected a fresh army of pinks and farmed for a bit, and soon the power core was maxed out.
Noch 3 Teile aus dem geschmolzenen Kern.
I shoved the remaining prismas in here and got back to farming yet more prismas, because by this point I'd realized some of the modules I needed for upgrades were for sale at the night
Cool.
market. I needed
Ja,
30
cool,
rainbow
müssen wir auch
coins,
machen
which
gleich.
meant I needed to put 300 prisma plorts total into the exchange. And this is where I discovered the inefficiency of my prisma plort plan. I'd kept my pink slimes in my
Nee,
backpack
stimmt, müssen
while
wir gar
waiting
nicht.
for
Ich
food
krieg
to
da
turn
keinen
up
Ruf
again.
raus.
And
Aha,
indeed, that
aha,
meant
aha.
they didn't
Ich
get
vergesse es immer
hungry,
wieder.
so they of course
Ich
ate
gehe
way
so
less
gerne
food
in
and
Raids
got way
rein.
less
In
points than
alte.
I'd been expecting. This inspired me to innovate. I created the pink dungeon, where I kept
Kriegen
all
da ja
the
gar
pink
keinen
slimes and
Ruf
refused to
raus.
feed them for a couple of days,
Den
and then I
brauchen wir
scooped
es
them all
nicht.
up to force feed them weird blue stuff. This process involved a lot of slime abuse and a fair bit of waiting around for instability storms to show up. But before long, I'd collected about 250 more
Oh,
prisma
nur noch die
plorts, which I used to
Hydraxianer,
get
ey.
more coins.
Yeah, if you really wanted to go hardcore, you could buy all these things.
Das können wir, was machen wir nebenbei?
Required farming a couple thousand more prisma
Agent zum
plorts. I
Champion
settled for
kriegen
buying
wir
the
in
Ejector and Regen mods, which I
WOTK.
used to pick up 2 more upgrades.
And then I start regen 66% faster. It's crazy.
WOTK wird
That's
auch
the
lustig.
gap
Kaluak
if
ist
I
auch
use
nur
energy.
Daily.
And then I stop, I'm not using energy anymore.
Angel Daily.
Oh, it starts recharging so much faster.
Das heißt, wir können dann auch Angeln machen.
Quality of life upgrade. I don't know why they would put that right at the end of the game, where most people are going to be like, I can't really be bothered getting that. They
Das wäre auch
really should
lustig.
give you upgrades like that, so you feel like, oh,
Das
man,
ist
I
sehr
feel so much
einfach.
stronger, I feel so much better, like,
Das ist
wow,
zufallsbedingt.
there's momentum in the game. I guarantee you that would
Auch
make people
witzig.
lifespan significant amount more.
A
Es
word
geht
to game
eigentlich
devs. I
alles.
think I make a good point. Give the awesome upgrades to the player at a point where it has a high impact. So that
Da
it
wird
makes the
auch
player feel
schön.
amazing. Don't give it in the end game when it doesn't really
Pandaria
matter.
wird lustig.
Anyway, now I just needed to farm some gold plorts.
Können wir auch
I needed 2
Transmogs
more short
freischalten und in
upgrades, so I
alle
needed to find at least 2 more
Classic
gold
wieder
slimes. And
zurückgehen.
I was worried this was going to take forever. Also,
What is the mystery Pokeball thing that I need to find here?
and I needed just one more decorative
Dass
item
wir dann
for
auch
the
die
slime
T-Mox
medium.
und alles
This
fertig
is the
machen.
Sunfire Daisy recipe, which is given to you by Thora West. Is you gonna do it right now? No.
I slept through quite a lot of days, and the old girl finally
Wir sind
gave
gerade
it
mal
to
bei
me.
5 Tagen
Wikipedia is
Spielzeit.
officially complete.
Mit einem
I then
Charakter
had the
nur.
tedious
Und das
task
ist der
of
einzige, den ich
checking
spiele.
every pod location in the Amber Valley, until I arrived at a spot I was
Und wir haben
pretty
schon
sure I'd
so
never
viel
checked
erreicht.
before.
Yeah, this has got to be it.
Wir haben einfach schon 76.000 Gold in der
They
Bank.
troll me because this is the carousel, and I already had this carousel in my slime.
Wir haben
media
Classic
because I saw it in the
von den Regeln, die ich aufgestellt habe, durch, außer einen Ruf. Aber den können wir dann nur wöchentlich machen. TBC haben wir auch schon ziemlich weit.
Also all 25 port door thingos. I just want to show you proof that I got all the Slimepedia. There it
Das
is.
ist
467. If
geil.
I find a gold slime in the next 35 minutes of just running through here over and over again, I'll take it as a sign.
If I did not find one, then I was going to leave the golden sure shot upgrade undone. I didn't mind grinding the other stuff, but the gold plort farm was all down to luck. And as I said, I was worried it was going to take like 10 hours, and I wasn't prepared to do that. But it only took precisely 12 minutes for me to find my first.
Oh. I found one. No, I didn't want to find one. Oh, now I have to honor my word. That's the worst case scenario. I don't want to have to honor my word. Golden Shore Shot 2, and I need 3 for the final
that's
one.
good,
And I can
well.
now get 3 from 1 gold slime, so that's good. I only need to find 1 more gold slime.
So it appeared the gold slime farm wasn't going to be that bad at all. It only took 12 minutes of running through and resetting the rainbow fields to find one. By the way, I put down dash pads to make this run even faster. It was pretty zoomy. And about 20 minutes later, I found a second.
Oh.
No! How did I miss?
Naughty Secrets.
It's all good though, because only 55 minutes
Formal, Cross having collected una doll plus remaining for generally and Antoran Wastes.
The final upgrade, every upgrade complete.
Antoran Wastes.
Only 286 in-game days because I slept like 50
Yes.
waiting for Thora to give me a bush.
Nö. Was ist das denn? Hä? Ist das wohl besser? Vielleicht ein Event.
Ehre den Sindorai.
So. Killen wir jedes Mal. Ja, wir kriegen immer einen Aufruf. Nur die kleinen Hunde brauchen wir nicht, weil die droppen keinen Ruf. Warum auch immer. Wenn wir hier sind, können wir auch so ein bisschen Dunkeleisen graben. Die droppen auch keinen Ruf. Jo, da müssen wir gleich noch Mana-Gruft machen. Für Ruf beim Konsortium auf HC. Dann können wir weiter küssen. Nichts Neues leider. Schade. Mal sehen. Oh. Ist ja cool, wenn er droppt. Stülpen der Erdenwut sind neu. Reich der Prophezeiung. Eine Google. Was für ein Priest. haben wir da für eine Waffe bekommen eigentlich? Da. Schick. Da kommt da. Wie immer auf Zack. Kriege ich euch beide gleichzeitig? Ja. Schade, nix Neues. Hab ich auch schon alles. Ich krieg gleich nochmal Schaden. Ja. Aber wir kommen echt gut voran. 8.576 von 12.000. Ich liebe es. Das ganze Zeit nur Messer fliegen. Das wird mir nicht langweilig, echt zu so gucken. Schulterstücke der Macht. Ja. Ich bin Krieger. Wieder schön frisch Gold. Majordomus executus. Holla.
Schwächliche Sterbliche. Niemand fordert die Söhne der lebenden Flamme heraus. Unmöglich. Haltet ein, Sterbliche. Haltet ein, ich gebe auf, ich gebe auf. In eurer grenzenlosen Verlorenheit wolltet ihr die Geheimnisse der lebenden Flamme an euch reißen. Schon bald werdet ihr die Leichtsinnigkeit eurer Suche bereuen. Ich werde euch nun verlassen. Es ist an der Zeit, den Herrn dieses Hauses herbeizurufen. Für eine Unterredung mit uns werdet ihr diese mit eurem armseligen Leben bezahlen. Solltet ihr es dennoch wagen wollen, so mögt ruhig seine
Wie sieht eigentlich unsere Spielzeugkiste aus? Falsch, falsch, da. Leer. Noch nicht mal eine Seite voll. Ah, das war ein lustiger Fund. Der wird mich ja jetzt überholen. Ah, schade, dass er nicht da geblieben ist. Geil, nutze ich ihn gleich. Zum Zurücknehmen. Warte, brauche ich auch nicht. Brauche ich auch gar nicht machen. Ich port mich direkt nach Shatrat. Treffe ich die eigentlich von hier? Ne, schade. Boah, da lebt noch ein Feuerelementar. Ach ja, ist ja hier.
Dragnos, den Feuerfürsten, der schon uralt war, als eure Welt noch jung war. Verneigt euch vor ihm, Sterbliche. Verneigt euch vor eurem Untergang. Ihr habt mich zu früh erweckt, Exekutors. Was hat diese Störung zu bedeuten? Diese ungläubigen Sterblichen, mein Fürst. Sie drangen in euer Allerheiligstes ein und trachteten danach, eure Geheimnisse zu stehlen. Ihr lasst es zu, dass sich diese Insekten im geheiligten Kern herumtreiben. Und nun führt ihr sie auch noch in meine Heimstätte. Ihr enttäuscht mich, Exekutors. In der Tat werde ich Gerechtigkeit walten lassen. Nun zu euch, Insekten. Mutig habt ihr nach der Macht von Ragnaros gesucht. Nun seid ihr sie aus erster Hand.
Rückgratschnitzer. Und Mucktholzhelm. Als zum Verkaufen. Oh, schwarz. Wo ist der Rückgratbrecher?
There's all the references to the other PopCap games, such as Peggle and the absolute goat Chuzzle. And at the end, you find the other side of the world, which is, of course, an extremely stereotyped channel. And I can't help
Und die Gamaschen haben wir. Gamaschen der Nemesis.
but instead of getting an achievement,
Was für Stoff hier, Leute. Haben wir denn irgendwas bekommen für... Boah. Echt kein Glück, ne? Schade. Auf nach Shatrat. Dann auf in die Mana-Gruft. So, mein Freund. Hält toll. Alles klar, hält toll. Nimm mein Zeug. Der will das nicht haben. Die Signe, das brauche ich nicht. Die brauche ich auch nicht mehr. Die auch nicht. Ja. Kaufen. Zehn gebunden.
but it's difficult with this few things, so I'll save it for later. Day 6 brings us the potato mine, one of my personal favorite plants. After placing it, it takes about 15 seconds to arm before then being a one-time...
So, was haben wir eigentlich in der Briefkasten?
If you're in a pinch, you can place it about
Oh.
3 tiles away from a regular speed zombie, and it'll...
12 Gold.
Usually I use it to knock out the first zombie of the round, which saves me a little more sun, so I can...
Baladash Malanore.
Oh, 800.
Zombie with it is our first achievement. Day 7 gives us the snow pea. While
Da,
it
da,
costs a little less
da.
than double a regular
Kann ich
pea shooter,
nicht.
it'll slow down any zombies
Will
in
das
the mix.
jemand? Keine
So
Ahnung,
for
ist mir
me,
egal.
it deals less damage than a regular pea shooter, and that's awesome. At least in Plants vs. Zombies 1. I like throwing one
Zelama
with my regular pea
Ashal
shooters.
Anore.
There's no reason to have more because 2 snow peas don't freeze any more than 1 does. This is the first stage with 2 large waves as well as pole vaulting zombies. They move much faster than regular zombies and will vault over the first plant they encounter. One strategy for them can be to plant a cheap plant like a potato mine right in front of them, where they'll then slow down and be no more dangerous than a
Was ist
regular
euer Begehr?
Day 8 brings the Chomper. It'll instantly defeat the zombie closest to it, then chew on it for a while where it's completely vulnerable. But once it swallows, it can eat another zombie.
4000.
Chomper's range is a
Ach du
little more
Scheiße.
than 1 tile in front of it. So what you can do is plant it right behind a walnut, eat whatever zombie
Die
faces the walnut,
Gerechtigkeit
and be
wird
protected while it chews. We're also introduced to buckethead zombies. They're
Huge.
and while you can knock them out with regular pea shooters,
Dann wollen wir auf in die Mana. Ja?
Day 9 gives us the repeater.
Rufus Konsortium. Weitermachen.
Since they're so expensive, I still start out by building a column of regular pea shooters, then for the second column, I add in the repeaters. This is one of the reasons I enjoy the 2 lines of sunflowers. I'll still easily be able to afford everything here, while still getting a solid defense before the first big wave. Another thing I like to do is once my defense is fully set up, I start digging up sunflowers so I can plant yet more pea shooters. Because why not? After beating stage 9, we get a note saying the zombies are coming for our brains. That's a little forward.
Oh,
Alright.
ist aber schön.
Day 10 of every world is a
Dass wir die noch nicht gesammelt haben.
given all the plants you unlocked in that world. My strategy remains unchanged other than the absence of sunflowers. Since you don't spend any sun in these stages, there's no reason for them to be around. And since it's World 1, I end up with so many plants that I just gotta place them wherever I can. And oh yeah, I'm liking that speed up level. Now's a good time to mention that this version of the game has a level select, which the original did. This isn't completely new to this remaster because it was in a couple of other ports like the Xbox version, but it's still nice to have. Welcome to the next stage. The big difference here is that the sun doesn't fall from the sky. All of your solar. This is offset by being given some of the most powerful plants in the game. But we're not using any of those. First, we have to get the achievement. To get the achievement, we need to play an entire night level without using any mushrooms. And since we only have 1 unlocked, now's as good a time as ever. That doesn't mean it'll be easy. The setup here is incredibly slow. So slow that I choose to sacrifice a laundry firm. Once a zombie reaches it, it will clear the row, but that row is now crowded. If another zombie gets through, we will lose and we restart the stage. And here I am using it as a glorified potato. Once I start getting my pea shooters playing, the stage is pretty much over. There's no crane heads or bucket heads here, only regular zombies and newspapers, which are kind of like a cone head, but once you destroy the newspaper, they speed up. With that stage beaten, that's another achievement. Now for night 2, we'll be utilizing 2 mushrooms, puff shrooms, and sun shrooms. Sun shrooms are basically cheap weaker sunflowers. It drops small size
Hey, neue Brustplatte.
after being planted for a while, they'll grow larger and then become regular sizes. Puff shrooms, on the other hand, are one of the most powerful plants in the game. They cost absolutely nothing, recharge quickly, and the trade-off is they can only hit zombies up to 3 tiles away. That's really not much of a trade-off. That's still enough space to single-handedly knock out a full zombie. You could beat this stage with only puff shrooms. They're that good. I do choose to make proper defense though, using some snow peas and walnuts. In night 3, we get the fume shroom. It has 1 more range than the puff shroom, but more importantly, it pierces all zombies in front of it, all for a slight 75 sun. Now this night, I just choose to run sunflowers just to show that you're never really pigeonholed into using any one character. Sunflowers still work.
Was ist
even if
das?
the setup might be a bit
Verzeiht, aber ich habe keinen Besuch erwartet. Wie ihr sehen könnt, bin ich ein wenig beschäftigt. Aber egal. Als guter Gastgeber werde ich mich um euch Abenteuer gefreut.
Skipping the need to destroy the door first. If you're wondering what type of plant this is,
Jetzt warten wir.
it's not one. It's just designed.
Hands-free.
I guess it kind of looks
Ich
like
habe so viele faszinierende Dinge, die ich euch zeigen möchte.
similar to others.
Wir haben jetzt 3455. Ich muss das irgendwo aufschreiben. Wir warten noch auf die.
Ich habe so viele faszinierende Dinge, die ich euch zeigen möchte.
Aha, aha. Mal meine.
Ich muss mich...
Ah, ist das schön.
We get the Hypno Shroom for the next night. This is another TS.
5501.
Zombie eats it against the rest of the zombies in the row. The stronger the zombie, the more use you're going to get out of it. And this also happens to
2100.
for the Hypno Shroom. It has more health than even a bucket head, and it
46 Ruf.
so you almost have no choice but to use some type of instant command, which is exactly what I do for the final thing. Night 7 gives us the scary shroom. Let me tell you,
Abklinger.
towards this guy, but it's just a cheap pea shooter. That's it.
Schön.
Practically a straight upgrade. Now, if any zombie gets within one tile of it, it stops shooting and counters away. But let me ask you, how often does a zombie get within one tile of your pea shooters? If they are, they've probably already pierced your defense. So I'm saying it, Scary Shroom is a pea shooter at 1/4 the cost. It's the absolute go. The next night we have access to the Ice Shroom, a TSPP that cleans the entire screen for 75 suns.
Das heißt, wir können jetzt wieder questen gehen.
And for another little self-imposed
Nein, stimmt, wir müssen noch die Urgrilla kein Bock auf die Urgrilla, aber ich muss sie dennoch machen. Ich weiß es. Auf zur Steinbrecherfresse. Liegen wir? Ja. Ist einfacher. Urgrilla wird richtig Kennzahlen. Kriegen wir 375 Ruf pro Quest. Und wir können nur 2 machen, weil eine davon kaputt ist. Ah, wo ist der Flugmeister da? Üfte oder Feste. Urgrilla wird richtig Cancer. Things progress pretty much like any other night stage, but once the zombies start accumulating at all, gone. There is a downside to using the Doom Shroom. You can't plant anything else in the same spot it exploded for a good few minutes. Da sind wir gut dabei. Das machen wir als nächstes. Dann haben wir das durch. Da fehlen halt noch ein paar Rufsachen, wie Höhlen der Zeit, das Auge, Karasan und Insel Quellanar. Set them up where they'll be most useful. Scaries in the back, fumes in the front. Hypno Shrooms are kind of a stand-in walnut. And now I have 4 nukes in my back pocket to deal with the final wave, where I learned that Doom Shrooms actually aren't a full screen clear. They just read Hypnos away, which from most positions on the board is a full screen clear. Moving on to World 3, we're headed to the backyard, which increases the amount of lanes from 5 to 6 and adds a pool in the middle 2 lanes. The first plant we're given are lily pads, which simply allow us to plant on the water. While the 6 lanes seems intimidating, it does mean that we have more real estate to plant sunflowers, and because of that, I like to only plant 2 in the middle lanes. The strategy for the first stage is an oldie but a goodie, pea shooters and snow beans, nothing fancy. The first stage of every world is the easiest, it's mostly just to get us acclimated to the new yard, and beating it gives us squash, which of course squashes zombies. It's essentially like an instantly ready potato mine for double the price. There are a few quirks to it. If you plant it behind a zombie, it can jump backwards to get it. And like a chomper, it has enough range to hit zombies eating a walnut in front of it. I do another standard setup, and halfway through the stage, we just unlock minigames. We won't be doing anything with them for now, but we'll get there. For my final defense setup, I did set up some chompers near the front so that we could deal with the bucket heads. There's also a random footballer in the final wave, and I just squash him. After that stage, I finally have enough money to buy another seed slot. Just in time, too, since the lily pad is essentially a dead slot. Next, we have the 3-peter. I love this one. It covers the lane it's planted in, as well as the 2 adjacent lanes.
Wie teuer ist eigentlich eine WoW-Marke inzwischen?
Using both potato mines and squash in conjunction with each other, I can stall the stage out
420.000 Gold.
and then flush out the defense with walnuts and snow peas. Now,
Wir haben 76.
the 3-peter on one of the edge lanes actually does reduce its effectiveness. It's only going to shoot 2 peas instead of 3, so I usually try to avoid
25%.
if I have the extra sun, why not? In stage 4, we get Tangled. It's an aquatic TSPP that takes care of just one zombie. Probably my least used seed in this entire game, if I'm honest. But more importantly than that, I'm going for an achievement here. A new one, actually. Defeating the last zombie of the stage with our last mower. To start, I'm just letting them walk in and activate all but one of them. And once a mower is activated, I'll start planting the sunflowers in that lane. Now, I made quite a few mistakes in this first attempt. First, I left a pool lawnmower for last, and lawnmowers don't work in the pool. They only deal with the zombie that's in the square directly in front of me. Second, I used 3-peters, which just kind of complicate the setup. At the end of the stage, I'm going to want to keep all of the zombies in my last lane alive, and that's now going to include deleting any 3-peters in adjacent lanes. And the third, most diabolical mistake, I didn't notice that this is our first 3-wave stage. And so the second wave came, I cleared out the lane, and
91%.
somehow I managed
Selten
to
habe ich noch nicht gefunden. Käufer muss ich noch was kaufen. Rezept. Okay, ein paar Waffen. Krieg ich die hier, ja. Zombies are small, giving them less health, but making them move faster. And the only plants we get are pea shooters, lily pads, walnuts, and cherry bombs, which really doesn't leave much room for strategy. Place the pea shooters in the back, walnuts in the front, and blow up whenever there's a large. During the last wave, I got the Explodinator achievement for taking out 10 full-sized zombies with the cherry bomb. That's buffed. Back to business, we now have the Jalapeno, a TSPP that clears the entire lane it's planted in. And I'm taking another stab at the lawnmower achievement. This time I'm choosing the top lane to be the last lawnmower remaining, so I go ahead and plant 4 sunflowers there, and a small defense in front of it. Now once the other lawnmowers start to go, I'll have a lot more sun to work with right off the bat. This plan works really well, although I do have to use Tangle Root to make sure I don't lose my pool lane. By the first wave, I have repeaters.
Mögen eure Reisen sicher sein.
In comes the first zomboni.
Oh, seid ihr aber gut!
Move quickly and ice the ground behind them, making it unplantable. Luckily, the jalapeno not only knocks it out, but thaws the ground behind it as well.
Auf geht's. Bomben wir die Dämonen wieder zu. Wo ist ein Munitionsdepot?
One more time then. This time we get spikeweed to work with, another personal favorite of mine. Zombies will walk over it, getting damage to the
Den Erfolg haben wir ja schon.
deal quite enough damage to knock out a basic zombie as it walks by, but it certainly helps. This time I'm choosing the bottom lane as my protecting lane. Fun thing about spikeweed, I don't have to wait for the lawnmower of this lane to go before setting it up, because the zombies will walk right by it. This helps the initial setup of the strategy a little bit. Placing the spikeweed at the very front, this guarantees that it affects every single zombie that spawns. By the first wave, the zombies haven't even reached my second pool anymore, so I have to get a defense set up pretty quickly for it. But from then on, it's smooth sailing. One fun synergy I like to make use of.
Das nervt, dass es eine Ablenkzeit hat.
It will continuously damage any zombies leave none. The final wave comes, I preemptively clear the bottom lane, and finally, I got it. Next we get Torchwood. This one is wild. It's used in some of the strongest strategies in the game. Any peas that pass through it catch on fire, doubling their damage and dealing splash damage on impact. So you know I gotta go with 3-peters. Yeah, that's just gonna demolish anything that comes on screen. We're introduced to dolphin zombies in this stage. They're basically faster pole vaulters, but only in the water. To counter them, I just place lily pads far up in the pool lane so they use up their jump. For the final pool stage, we get tall nuts. It has double the health of a walnut, and it can't be vaulted. And of course, we get both pole vaulters and dolphins to test it against in this stage. I'm keeping it simple again: pea shooters, snow peas, tall nuts, and spikeweed. It seems like it'd be low damage, but since the zombies are walking slower thanks to the snow peas, they're gonna take more damage on the spikeweed. So even bucketheads aren't reaching the tall nuts.
Ey, beim letzten getroffen, das gibt's doch gar nicht.
Have a little bit of trouble at the end, but I'm able to clutch it out. Another letter from zombies. They want to play in the pool, but unfortunately for them, there's no lifeguards. This conveyor stage gives us quite the combo. 3 peters, torchwood, tall nuts, and spikeweed. You know, the longer we go on, the more I'm realizing that maybe none of these conveyor belt stages are really an issue. These plants are more expensive than ever, and again, being able to bypass the cost of them just makes a really powerful setup. I'm pretty much fully finished by the second wave, and they never have a chance to recover from there. Minigame break. We've only got 3 minigames to start here, but they'll get us some achievements and a good amount of money, so why not try them out? First is Zombotany, where zombies get the properties of certain plants. In this first one,
Ja, und du bist der Letzte.
walnuts. Pea shooters will, of course, shoot your plants, and walnuts are tanky. Now, normally because of the pea shooters, you always want a walnut set up in front of your plant so it shoots the walnut. But there's an achievement to not use any. So here's the
Was kann ich für euch
I'm
tun?
setting up all
Schönen
of
Tag
the
auch.
sunflowers in one layer, while on the others I set up spike. If I get 2
Welche
layers
Freude,
of
euch zu sehen. Und an den.
zombies on their own. Plus, since they're flat, they don't get shot by the
So.
The only thing they won't knock out are the walnuts.
Das waren die Dailies bei Ogrilla.
Most of my slots with all the TSPPs that I can. They're also useful for taking out any zombies that threaten my sunflowers. Once my spike weed is set up, I can speed it up, sit back and relax.
Jetzt gehen wir nochmal durchgucken, ob der Rare gespawnt ist. Vielleicht in der Zeit.
One goal through this round, and that's bouncing a walnut 5 times. You'll know it happens when a gold coin pops out. It's kind of risky going for this. For the best chance I can get, I need zombies to go to the very end of the lawn, which eventually ends up with me losing my top lawn. But when I place the first wave, there's finally enough zombies to where I can get it. It happens twice, in fact. But in the final wave, I miscount how many walnuts I need to clear a group of zombies, and they get
Auf weiter.
And
Wir machen einmal so eine Loop. Dann gehen wir sofort hier rein.
that's fine. I get to keep the achievement, so I just rush the minigame again, playing it much safer this time. And it's surprisingly really good for making money, so I don't mind too much. And for the last minigame, it's a slot machine. You spend 25 sun to spin it for a chance at more sun or free seeds. It's pretty slow going, to be honest.
Ich mag den Rochen. Ich wollte immer schon einen haben. Jetzt habe ich sie. Und ich bereue es nicht. Die sind cool.
I don't know if it would have been faster to keep spinning the slot machine, but it's
Zuerst wie so ein Auge.
the game ends once I earn 2000 sun. There's no achievements for this one, but eventually I'm going to need to clear.
Ich habe jetzt gar nicht geguckt.
And with that, let's head back into Adventure Mode. Now's when things really start ramping up. Not only do we have 6 lanes with 2 of them being water, it's night, and there's fog obscuring the right side of the screen.
Nope.
Now, luckily, we're given a water version of the push.
Marduk.
I play the stage like I would any other previous night. I get all of our mushrooms set up, and then once the sun shrooms are done,
Auch
we start
nicht.
making scaredy shrooms. There's not anything on this night that requires too much damage, so this will do. There is the Jack-in-the-Box zombie, though. It has the toughness of a cone head, it moves quickly, and if it reaches your plants, there's a chance it'll explode, destroying all adjacent plants, which could ruin your entire defense in one blow. Well, that is, if the front of your defense isn't just a ton of puff shrooms. They're all expendable.
Schade.
Finishing that first night gives us the planter, which eliminates the fog around it. Now you may think, well, the fog wasn't that bad, it doesn't really seem necessary. Well, throughout this world, the fog is going to creep closer and closer to the left side of the screen. As it is, we can barely see our 5th column, so I will be using it. On the second night, we need to prepare for footballers, so I come with a couple of more TSPPs and
Hi, baby.
the regular push shrooms. It does make setup a little
Alles
sketchy with
okay?
the scary shrooms, but by the end, it's much more solid than night 1. Also, if you haven't noticed, the pool lanes get a
Kann
lot
nicht
less
schlafen.
zombies than the lawn lanes, so I don't really need to reinforce them that much, and they're last
Ja,
priority to be.
7.
And at the end of the night, we get the cactus. These are just a more expensive pea shooter, but we have to use them because it's the only answer for balloon zombies. Balloon zombies will just fly over your entire defense unless you pop their balloon. Not even the tall nuts can block them. So at this point, we're kind of reaching a point where, you know, we need sun shrooms, we need both puff shrooms, we need lily pads, we need cactus for the balloon zombies.
Mal sehen, ob er hier gespawnt ist.
And that doesn't really leave a lot of room for anything
no.
else like insta-kills or a stronger defense. That is the main difficulty of the fog
die.
stages. Luckily, I think they realize this, so the tankiest zombie we need to deal with here is coneheads, but it will get more difficult. Now we have the blover. This can complete the job of both lanterns and cacti, but it's a one-time use. I take it though because I really need the space in the rest of my
Nicht mehr viel.
performance for the dolphin zombies. I need to heavily rely on puff shrooms for setup here. There's not really room to play around. Blovers cost a whopping 100 sun each too, so this ends up being a very expensive setup. I only need to set up the tall nuts and the water. The land is covered by tons of puff shrooms. slightly expanding Crazy Dave Shine. There's still nothing I can afford for now, though. The minigame for World
Gibt's
War
8 Stück von denen haben.
Base Breaker. You can smash
Du
bases
verarschen.
until a zombie or plant seed will pop out. The game warns you about smashing too many at once, but I find that there's a balance to be found. I don't want to waste seeds by placing them
Ich
on
hoffe, da drin sind mehr Dämonen.
So what I like to do is
Oh
smash the
ja,
entire
sehr schön.
row and then divvy out the plants as I see fit. Sometimes you just don't get a zombie so you move all the plants to another row. This strategy works for these easier stages, but you definitely have to play slower for the harder ones. Also, I accidentally got an achievement here for hypnotizing a lead dancer. Sweet. Now we get the split pea. It's a regular pea shooter forwards and a repeater backwards. Now you may be saying, why would you ever need to shoot backwards?
Erst
Well,
2 von
the
8.
stage provides an answer. Again, we have so much to worry about that I'm just relying on puff shrooms for most of the stage. I get split peas set up on every land lane, and in the final wave, there's just one digger zombie to worry about. It digs under the entire stage and starts working its way back. Now, the split pea isn't the only answer to dig zombies. If you have a squash in the back spot, it'll get it. And surprisingly, if you have a chomper in the back spot, it'll also get it. But I don't like sacrificing those sunspots. For the next stage, we get started on another plant that can shoot backwards, but it'll also shoot straight up and down and forwards at 2 slight angles. This makes it a little bit weird to use because it can't shoot forwards. This can be worked around by just placing a ton of them, and at that point, they cover every spot on the wall. While it's not the most effective strategy, it's really fun to look at. The downside is while they do cover every spot, they're not very consistent. So for zombies with a lot of HP like that, I have to use them. For Night 8, we probably get the most versatile plant.
Nice.
They can be placed around any other plant to give them the same amount of protection as a walnut. You can place them on your front plants, on your back plants. You can even plant them on their own without a plant inside of it. Just wherever you need.
Aber auch kein Meister-Ingenieur hier.
Doesn't seem like a
Schade
good
eigentlich.
stage to use it. There's pogo zombies, and I'm going to need comments for that. Now, I wanted to try out double flowers, which you can buy in the shop, but I didn't notice that this stage only had one wave, so I didn't even have the time to set the double flowers up. But if you're curious, they just produce 2 sun at once. It's like the repeat.
Was ist mit dir?
A
Now,
nube
you'll
l'ore
notice that
della
the
nave.
seed packet is pink. This means 2 things. Number 1, it needs to be planted on top of a specific other type of plant. In this case, it's sunflowers. And 2, there are certain modes in the game where they will get more expensive every single time you plant them. Not here. I barely skirt around the final wave of this round since I didn't have much time to set my defense up. For the last night, we get
Was ist hier noch?
These are great. An all-for-one answer to any zombie with a metal object. For this stage, that includes butt heads and
Ah, für dich komme ich also später nochmal.
every seed I'm bringing to the stage is needed for something.
Das war hier.
Sun shrooms, puff shrooms, the aforementioned magnets, pumpkins to protect those magnets since they need to be close to the front to be useful, lily pads, cactus for the balloon zombies, and for my one free slot, I brought doom shrooms as an answer to any out-of-control situation. This leaves nothing to get rid of the fog, so I'm just kind of blind the whole round. You can see the magnets putting it work though. The final wave is solved with a nuke, and then there's
Da wollen wir wieder raus.
zombies would like me to leave the front door open and unguarded. I'll comply, but they didn't mention anything about the backyard. We don't have to deal with fog for this conveyor stage. Instead, it's dark and rainy and destroying the quality of the video. If you're curious, the rain in the original game is a lot less disruptive. We're only going to get glimpses of our lawn before it goes dark again. We get to use every plant that we acquire.
Schalten wir mal das Ding ab.
Save for the plantern, which wouldn't have any effect. For once, these aren't super strong plants. Most of them are answers for one specific threat. If I can't see anything, I can't respond to said threats as quick as usual. So I try to make sure that every lane has a cactus, either a split pea or a starfruit, and a few magnet shrooms spread out evenly. The beginning was rough, but like all the other conveyor stages, the later it gets, the more plants you get and you just have no space for them, making the final few waves a cinch. In that last world, we actually unlocked the puzzle mode, and while I could dive into it, we only have one wave left, so let's go ahead and take it on. So the
Ich habe mir zu lange was eingestellt.
that the left side of the lawn
So.
is on a slanted surface.
Jetzt nochmal.
Which means plants that shoot straight ahead will just shoot into the side of the roof. Instead, we need to use catapult-type plants, which can shoot anywhere. We can plant straight shooting plants, they just need to be on or in front of this column. We can also only plant into plant pots, which, yes, are a plant themselves, kind of like the lily pad. The first stage is pretty simple. There's not much to do but spam cabbage bolts, which shoot at half the speed of pea shooters but deal double the damage, so it's like the same as a pea shooter. After completing the stage, Crazy Dave steals us to show us his new shop stock. There's a lot more pink plant seeds, but there's nothing I need immediately, nor can I afford it. For stage 2, we have a lot more freedom since we can place plant pots ourselves. And so, I'll be going for yet another achievement, completing a roof stage without using any catapults. I I need to pack a lot of power
Einfach alles
in a small
umbringen.
area, so I'm using repeaters and snow peas
Das ist immer die beste Methode.
and pumpkins for defense, as well as just a bunch of TSPPs just in case anything goes wrong. I did make a slight mistake here. I planted my pea shooters one column in front of where they could have been planted. I didn't remember
Sneaky.
the exact column in the moment, and I wasn't willing to risk it. The goal
Ich mit
here is
mir.
to get one snow pea and one repeater in each row. Then I can protect whatever's in front with a pumpkin. Ideally, I'll protect the plant behind it as well. It's a bit sketchy at first, but once the peas are set up, it's solid. It helps that if I ever need to, I can use one of the plant pots in the back for jalapenos, which will still protect the front line. Now we can use our catapults, and to
Chefingenieur Klon. Tot.
These guys deal half the damage of cabbage bolts, but they have a 25% chance to fling butter, dealing double damage and freezing the zombie in place for 5 seconds.
Warpmeister.
Putting one in each lane to set up the other strong plan. It's really nice to have 2 options to fill your general defense up with. Kind of
Du kleiner Bastard.
you'd have when only planting one seed. In this stage, you'll notice there's zombies with ladders. Now,
Der hat mir das jetzt hier nicht... Oh. In letzter Sekunde, ich glaub's doch wohl nicht. Muss ich die ganze Kacke nochmal machen.
So it's not really meant to be a threatening level, it's just a warning for when you see it later on in the game that you might want to mix in some catapults.
Holy fuck.
In the next stage, we're given a coffee bean, allowing us to use any mushroom even during
Wie oft soll ich das denn noch
all
machen?
it takes is an extra cost of 75 sun and a seed slot. It's pretty clear what it wants us to bring here. Ladders, pogos, and football zombies are all countered by the magnet shroom. And yes, the football helmets are metal. Don't argue, just count your blessings. Waking up mushrooms with coffee can be pretty expensive, so I skip the potato mine and cherry bomb and go with the in-between of squash for any emergencies. It's a little trickier to use, but I need all of my sun that I can get here. I decide to go with 3 magnets in the center of the stage, and once they're set up, it's smooth sailing. They take care of absolutely anything that could be a threat, so all I need to do is make sure they're not on cooldown at the same time. Could it be the Zen Garden? Y'all, I love the Zen Garden. Here we can grow plants to earn ourselves a little extra money on the side. They'll occasionally grow a little larger, and once they're fully grown, you can sell them for a bunch of extra cash. But in this game specifically,
Nicht schon wieder.
achievement for collecting all of them, which sounds daunting, but if this game's anything like the original, there's tons of ways to cheese it. So I'll just collect them as we play everything else, and we'll see where we stand at the end. On to the minigame of the roof stage. It's just another conveyor stage, but this time all zombies are delivered by Bungie, and all we get are chompers, pumpkins, and cherry pieces. There's really only one way to build this. Remember the chomper walnut combo? Well, how about chomper chomper combo? 2 chompers side by side covering the other one while it's still chewing on a zombie, and pumpkins just give them a little extra time to swallow. They're not quite enough to keep up with the pace of the zombies, but I can make up for it by planting cherry bombs or even digging up a chomper that's eating and placing down fresh one. It took a lot of attention, but it's not too bad.
Da hat sich wieder einer eingesneakt.
This is a plant that you could easily never use and be just fine, but let me show you something fun. For this stage, I'm going to set up all of my sunflowers just on the top row, leaving the other 4 rows a lot more space for offensive plants. Once I have a good amount of sunflowers, I cap it off with a garlic that moves all zombies that bite it into the adjacent lane. Now, while garlics are pretty chunky and zombies only take
Nice,
they are
endlich.
still taking damage, so you need to make sure that it stays in there. I gotta be honest, this was kind of a meme setup, but I'm very impressed with how well it performed. Well, until the end, where the catapult zombies started coming in, trampling the garlic. But hey, I live. Next, we get something to deal
Können wir die
with
beiden abgeben?
catapult zombies. Umbrella leaves. They protect all adjacent plants from not only catapults, but bungees as
Die
well.
machen...
This can end up saving up a lot of sun in the long run, so when I use these, I make
Machen
sure
noch
that
eine halbe
every
Stunde,
single
also bis
plant
halb.
is covered, unless there's just something that's easy to replace. The more expensive the plant,
Dann werde ich mich hinlegen.
with our limited space, I run a
Mehr zu langsam verspüre ich müde. Müdigkeit, das ist gut.
And here you can see when a ladder gets placed on a pumpkin, if you dig up the pumpkin and replace it, it also gets rid of the ladder. There's a couple of other ways you can remove ladders, such as
Die
with
ewige
magnets
Sonne
or
leitet
with
uns.
explosions
Für den
but
Sonnenbrunnen.
there's not really a
Der
reason
Tag
to
der
use
Abrechnung
this.
wird kommen.
Okay, so this next plant is completely optional.
Was haben wir ihnen da gegeben?
Coins every
Halt.
You can use it when you think you won't need your entire yard or an extra seed slot. This level is not one of those levels, as it introduces gargantuars. These are the only zombie that can survive the supposed one-hit kill of things like cherry bombs or squash. So I also bring jalapenos so I can stack the explosions up if I need. The first wave brings the first gargantuar. I make a little bit of a mistake here. I use my jalapeno for the first half of its HP, where it then tosses the imposter shot. Normally you'd want to save the jalapeno for now, so that you can also hit the but it's fine at this point. I don't For the final wave, I make sure to deal half of the stage much farther back and finish it off with a cherry. Now for the final regular stage in the main event. We get Melon Pulse Spins, a real heavy hit. It deals double the damage of a Cabbage Pulp, which remember is 4 times the damage of a pea shooter, and it deals splash damage to these zombies above or below the direct hit. The trade-off is it's very expensive. The most expensive regular plant in the entire game, in fact. So these are top priority to be covered with umbrellas. It takes a little longer than usual to get set up, but I make it. I decided to bring walnuts for the fence since they're much cheaper than pumpkins and I can easily replace them if a ladder's placed up. As usual, once we're set up, we're chilling. I did have to manually blow up a gargantuar in the last wave, but other than that we had no problems. Another letter, this one's a bit reminiscent of an HOA letter. You know what we do about the HOA. There's one last conveyor stage taking place at night so that we can use the ice stream. Unlike most stages, our goal isn't to make it through waves. What we need to do here is deal enough damage to Dr. Zomboss, which we can only do while he's leaning down. I like to slap an ice shroom down once he leans in to keep him around, as long as I have an extra. Every time he leans down, he's going to spawn a boulder that will run over all of your plants unless you react to it with the opposite of it. So we want to make sure that we always have at least one jalapeno and one ice shroom. Also, side note, the color of his eyes are bugged. They're supposed to glow the same color as the boulder it's spawning so that you have a little bit of an easier time responding to it, but it doesn't do that all the time. One of the most dangerous attacks he has is just throwing an entire RV on our plants, knocking out 6 tiles at once. So not only do you always want to have one ice room and jalapeno, you also want to be stacking a couple of flower pots just in case. Now, I feel like I'm getting pretty unlucky with what plants I'm getting. If I need plant pots, I'm stuffed full of things I can't plant. And the result of this is halfway through the fight, I lose the middle lane. I only have one more chance there. I misplaced my jalapeno, but luckily it doesn't matter because we knock him out. Now, if you know Plants vs. Zombies, we're not even close to done, but we are rewarded with one of the best credit songs ever made. Well, kind of.
Ah, 5
The
Stück
song is
brauchst du.
notorious for getting hit with copyright strikes on YouTube, but I definitely recommend listening to it yourself. Laura Shigehara's soundtrack is fantastic. Fun fact, Gloom and Doom was an early name for the game. Now that we've beaten Adventure Mode, tons of things are unlocked for us. There's Cloudy Day and RIP Mode, both of which are new to this release. And all of the mini-games, puzzles, and survival modes are available to us. We can also buy a few extra marigolds for our garden, which is good for making a little extra money. And that's where I left off for the night. When coming back, our original marigolds are ready to become
Stecke
full
fest.
grown, giving us
Bin so fett.
1,000 gold immediately, and then we sold for 3,000 gold. Meaning, all in all, we earned a little over 1,500 gold throughout the growing process, if you include the cost of buying. The next thing I decided to take on are the puzzles. Reason is, they'll make us money, but we don't benefit from any of the items we could buy from the shop, so it makes sense to knock them out first. There's 2 sets of puzzles. First, we'll take on Phase Breaker. It's not too different than the one we played in Adventure Mode, other than adding in new plants and zombies into the mix. For the first 5 stages of it, I'm gonna be honest, I'm given many more plants than I'll ever need, and I can just smash all the bases at once and quit. The basic strategy is to use your plants for regular zombies and TSPPs for bucket heads, but you can take them out with enough firepower if you want. I'd say that level 7 is the first stage that gets interesting, where your only weapons are spikeweed and squash. The strategy where you put spikeweed in front of a walnut so that all zombies that are eating the walnut are constantly getting damaged is a must. And level 8 is the first one that I struggled with. Pogo zombies are added to the mix, which have to be dealt with either a tall net or
Die sind so nah beieinander, das ist ja praktisch.
Level 9 is the final regular stage where they start to throw in gargantuars. These are a huge resource sink. When one pops up unexpectedly, you kind of have to start breaking open a bunch of vases to find the seeds to deal with it, which can in turn cause the other lanes to start going crazy. The plantern eases the difficulty a little bit, allowing us to see all seeds in all the adjacent bases, leading us to a win. Beating that stage was an achievement, but we're not done yet. Now we have Endless Mode, where I need to hit at least 15 rounds. Every single one of these rounds will have at least 1 gargantuar and 1 planter. Knowing that, you can save any squash you find until after you find the gargantuar. You can't wait too long, though, because the seeds will despawn. Now, we do get a slight advantage in Endless Mode. Throughout the rounds, you'll occasionally find sun, which can be spent on cherry bombs to get you out of sticky situations, and you will need it. As for the seeds you get, they don't really mix things up much. You'll always be getting some combination of pea shooters, squash, and walnuts. This predictability, always knowing what you're going to get and what's going to pop out, is going to carry you through most of the rounds. But starting on round 11, there are now 2 gargantuars every round. At this point, you're going to want to start taking advantage of the fact that if they're close to the house, they won't throw the imp once they hit half HP, since that would just be an instant loss. I saved up a lot of sun in the early rounds, and this is where I have to start using it. On round 12, both Gargantuars spawned right next to each other, giving me a really juicy lineup. I used another to wrap up round 13. I was trying to hold it to make absolutely sure that I needed it, until I couldn't risk it. And then in round 14, I had to use another. It was just a case of a lot of bucket heads spawning way too close to the house. And this was the first time I went under 150 sun, meaning I couldn't buy another.
Eine Minute.
Luckily, there was 50 sitting around in a vase on that same stage, giving me one more to use for the final round. As this is the hardest round, I'll show you my full strategy. I like to start with breaking the vases in the back. That gives me the most time to react to any zombies that come out. The first Gargantuar pops out in the top lane, throws an imp to the back column, forcing me to use a squash on it. At the same time, I'm trying to deal with all the bucket heads in the middle 3 rows. Then pops out the second Gargantuar, giving me a great excuse to use up my cherry bomb. Now, the Gargantuars do smash vases as they come into contact with them, and the top Gargantuar revealed 2 squashes on its own, giving me the answer to both Gargantuars, and it's all downhill from here. Just a case of spreading out any plants I get on the lanes that still have vases. And that wraps up Vase Breaker. Next up is Zombie. Here, we're the zombies, and we need to crack the defenses of the plants. This plays out a lot more like a puzzle game. Identify the weakness of each row and execute. Usually, higher priority is given to rows with sunflowers, since eating those gives you 200 sun each to place more zombies. I absolutely love this mode because it still uses all of the knowledge you've gained from playing normally, like
Oh, 18.
that snow peas have no effect on zombies with shields. Now you can use that.
Wir brauchen zwar nicht, aber sieht lustig
There are
aus.
some times where you just have to brute force a lane. In stage 3, we're given the dig zombie to play around with. This is probably the most useful zombie. Just identify any lane that doesn't have a plant that can shoot backwards, and you just sweep it. The downside is you do need to place another zombie to actually eat the brain because the dig zombie walks backwards. Zen Garden Break, I got some fully grown marigolds again. This time I'm going to keep them around to just produce a little extra cash throughout the day. On round 4, I identify the weakest lane. Next, second from the bottom,
beschützen.
solo. And the 2 other rows will need a ladder zombie in conjunction with a bucket head to get through. Round 5 gives us balloon
Nein,
zombies.
okay,
And while it's
perfekt.
nice that they can fly over most plants, they also won't eat any sunflowers. So the only lane that I use one in is the top, which doesn't have any sunflowers to begin with. The rest of the lanes can be taken care of by bucket heads. Round 6 gives us pole vaulters. Again, I identify the weakest link, and this time it's the row with just a kernel pole. I send down 2 vaulters on it. I can use the same strategy on lane 2, just barely. And that gives me enough sun to just roll the other 3 lanes with Gargantuars. Don't get used to it. This is the only time we get to use them. Round 7 is a minefield of one-shot kills. Here we need to use the cheapest zombie we can as sacrifices. I try to use the dancer zombie, but it's really weird to use. Like, I don't know the exact pace that'll make new backup dancers, but potentially, it could allow you to defeat 3 rows all at once. I use it to try and skip the most heavily fortified rows, since they can just spawn zombies behind them, and it kinda works. Round 8 teaches us to fear magnet shrooms.
Hey,
All of our strongest
wie geht's
options use
euch?
metal, so the magnet shroom
Schön, dass ich helfen konnte.
we got lucky here.
So.
It's not in the top corner.
Zaunbotschafter.
We use metal on the bottom 2 lanes.
Zaunschaffer.
You can knock it out quickly with a cone head to use metal everywhere.
Und Fahrradkern.
For round 9, we use everything else we've learned. I actually make quite a few mistakes here. Sometimes it's hard to know if a certain type of zombie will be tanky enough to do what you need it to do. It takes a few resets before I can get it going. And it's worth noting that if you do reset, it will generally move plants around, but some are stuck in stone, such as tall nuts being in the front, and plants sticking to a certain lane. In this run, I can finish the top row for some sun to get me started. Then I use a ladder plus bucket head combo to beat the second row. This star fruit can cause trouble in other rows, so I send off a to wipe off the bottom row, giving a dig zombie free
So wenige?
Then I can just brute force the win. And now, just like with Vase Breaker, it's endless time. Here we always have access to the same set of zombies, and what type of defense we go to is random. The advantage we get this time is that all of our sun carries over from round to round, so it's important to get a really good first few rounds to subsidize the later rounds if you happen to get lucky with something. It actually took me 3 tries before I finally got a good run. I got pretty lucky here in round 1, a full lane of almost all sunflowers to start, and the magnets in the bottom left corner. I do decide to just bungee it away anyway, and clear the other lanes with various metal zombies. I'm left over with 725 sun, which is not too shabby. Round 2 is an insta-kill stage, which are generally pretty easy. All you have to do is spam hits to get them. I end that round with 1,000 sun. The next 3 rounds, though, are heavily fortified. whittling down my zone pretty well. It doesn't help that round 6 only had 4 sunflowers, which is pretty unlucky. I had to spend a lot of time on the stage working every little detail out. I decided it's worth grabbing the magnet and rolling this 3-peater with a footballer. 3-peaters, by the way, are very problematic in this mode. They add to the defense of 3 separate rows, and it's pretty easy to forget they're there. A ladder zombie solos the lane with a snow pea. I noticed the bottom lane has no protection against a dig zombie, and the top lane only has a puff room for forward defense. The middle row, though, was rough. I ended up having to brute force it with a bunch of coneheads and imps, leaving me with only 175 sun for the next round. And thank goodness, it's a scaredy shroom.
Oh, Tyrantos.
Listen, scaredy shrooms are still the go, but when you have a brain to be able to take advantage of their weakness, they're a little rough. And wouldn't you know it, there's another one for the next round. These 2 rounds leave me with 2,225 sun. More than enough to easily deal with the 2 rounds I have left. Round 10 ended up being one of the easier ones.
Labert erstmal wieder.
With the puzzles done, I think it's time we go back to adventure mode, because there's something else we need to do. Adventure plus mode, which is a complete replay through of adventure mode, but this time it's a little bit harder. There's more waves, there's more zombies per wave, and at the beginning of every round, Dave automatically picks 3 seeds for you. Early on, this isn't going to be much of a problem because we have more seed slots than we did back when we originally played adventure
Kann man
mode.
auch eben die
But as we
letzte
get to the later
hier
stages,
machen.
we're gonna feel it. Now listen, I'm not gonna show you everything. I'm gonna show you the highlights. For the vast majority of the stages, I use the exact same strategies that I use.
Irgendwo muss noch ein dickerer hier rumlaufen.
But since we do have access to all plants at this point, there are a couple of achievements I can go for that I couldn't before. The first of which I attempt on level 1. We need to be a daytime stage while only using mushrooms, which means every single plant essentially has an extra cost of 75 sun to use the coffee bean. Not to mention the cooldown of the coffee bean. As a requirement to get started, I'm going to have to sacrifice some of my mushrooms. I'm not fast enough to get every single lane set up as we need it. I'm also not going to be using any
Wo wandert der wieder rum?
Normally they're really good because they cost nothing, but in this stage where they cost 75 sun, not good. I'd rather spend 100 sun for a mushroom, which is
Felsnarbe.
essentially just a bee shooter. Once I'm finally able to get a full row of them set up, that's when we start cooking. Our sunshrooms are also starting to ramp up at this point because they're growing large. For my second row of defense, I start building up fume shrooms, which should be able to single-handedly kill all zombies. There's not even coneheads in this stage, and since the fume shrooms pierce, they'll just knock everything out. For the second large wave, I had all my fume shrooms set up, so we won. While playing through this first world, I actually got my first Zen garden plant that isn't a marigold, so I grow it for a while, and turns out it's a snow pea. Very nice. Now, any plant that isn't a marigold is going to sell for a lot more money, 8,000 gold when fully grown. But, as I said before, we do need to get a full Zen garden, so I won't be selling any of these unless I get them. While playing through World 2, I was able to move forward. I believe this is our 3rd extra seed slot, leaving us only 1 left to get for a whopping 50,000 gold. For level 2-6, I did decide to go for yet another achievement. For this achievement, I need to only kill zombies with explosions. One of the early nighttime stages seems perfect for that because we get access to doom shrooms. I also brought along tall nuts so that if I have to delay to wait for one of my cooldowns to wear off, I can. And then it's just reacting to zombies with explosions. Worth noting that I did actually try this on one of the daytime stages and I wasn't able to pull it off. I just got ruined by the cooldowns, which is why I now have the tall nuts and doom shrooms. It helps that this stage only has 2 waves, so it's not that long until I get the achievement. Here's how the Zen Garden's looking after World 2, by the way. I got 3 new plants, a Sun Shroom, a Grave Buster, and a Doom Shroom. This is a good time to mention that specific plants will only spawn in their specific stage. And for the mushrooms, they actually can't grow in the regular Zen Garden. You have to buy this extra garden for 30,000 gold, but I can't. The Grave Buster will grow because it's not a mushroom. You can use them theoretically in daytime stages, it's just they don't do anything. For our next achievement, we're doing this on stage 3-1. I need to beat a pool stage without using any pea shooters, lovingly called Don't Pee in the Pool. This is probably impossible in the original adventure mode, but now we have cabbage bolts, which, despite being almost exactly the same as pea shooters, aren't a pea shooter. So, that's pretty much the only difference to the strategy here. Cabbage bolts and kernel bolts instead of pea shooters. I just get 3 columns of them set up and they do the job. Now, nothing interesting really happens here, but it's worth noting that stage 3-4 is the first stage with 4 waves. This doesn't necessarily mean that it's harder, it just takes longer. With all the extra time you have to set up more plants, you can make a really good defense. The next stage I'm showing is the final fog stage, level 410, because as you can see here in the preview, there's a Yeti zombie. And it is an achievement to knock out the Yeti zombie. I'm not going to show too much of the stage because I feel like it's going to get really annoying to look at for a while, but it is worth mentioning that this isn't the only place you can find the Yeti zombie. You can find it in all of the extra modes, survival especially, on the fog levels. It's just never guaranteed. In Adventure Plus mode 410, it is always guaranteed to be here. So just another reason to play through it. Now normally, in the regular game, this is where you'd stop, because you need to see the Yeti zombie for an achievement in Game of the Year edition, but you don't actually need to beat Adventure Plus mode. In this version though, there is an achievement for it, so we continue.
Lauf nicht so weit.
Really isn't much to do with the stages, just because I'll show you my final setup for stage 5-9, which is supposedly the hardest of them all. It's the only stage that has gargantuars. As you can see, even in Adventure Plus mode, you really don't have to set up anything too crazy. I'm not even using melon bolts or anything here. Just
lauf nicht weg.
And that leads us to Zomboss once again. Now I will say, something's harder here. I don't know
Ich hasse diese Art
tell
von
you
Quests.
what it is, but there's definitely some type of difference. Maybe there's more zombies, maybe Zomboss has more health, maybe you get plants slower. I really don't know. But I struggled to keep up for a good portion of this boss fight. Now, trade-off, I do feel like I was getting a good amount of ice shrooms and jalapenos, so my big problem was just replacing all of my lost plants. Also, I think Zambonis weren't in the regular fight, so they just require a jalapeno use. By the end, I'm kind of rolling, and I get through the boss fight once again. That is another achievement for beating Adventure Plus mode. For my next task, I take on the mini-games. There's 20 of these, which seems like a lot, but they're all pretty quick, and in general they're easier than puzzle mode, save for a few of them. We already knocked out the first 3 earlier, so we're starting with 4. It's Raining Seeds. It's kind of just a repackaged conveyor stage, and instead of a conveyor belt, they all fall from the sky. Now I don't know if it's just me, but it's very frustrating not to be able to use any of the seeds until they stop falling. This is not how it works in the original game, where you can click them while they're falling down just like you can Sun. Other than that, it's easy. Next is Begooled, based off of one of PopCap's other games, Bejeweled. Here you start out with a full yard and you need to slide the plants over to make rows of 3.
Ich bin aber so froh, mir diesen Schaumstoffschläger geholt zu haben. Ne? Das hat sich gelohnt. Jetzt könnte ich diese Quest gar nicht machen. Könnte ich auch ein paar Erfolge gar nicht machen.
Plays the same as any other conveyor stage. It's not like the conveyor stages are awful or anything, it's just that they almost always involve the exact same strategy, and I prefer all of the other types of games, such as seeing stars. We actually have an achievement to go for here. We need to complete the entire minigame before the first large wave starts. Our goal is to plant star fruit in all of the spot it shows in the shape of a star. You can try to go for something fancy here, but just planting 2 rows of sunflowers and then only star fruit will do it. I even misplaced one and I still have enough time to complete the achievement. Next, for a complete departure from regular gameplay, we have Zombiequarium, a play on Insane Aquarium, yet another PopCap game. These little zombies swimming around will produce sun every now and again. We need to feed them to make sure that they don't die. Again, it's pretty simple. Next, we have
Die sind durch.
Twist, which is Bejeweled.
Wunderbar.
Instead of sliding the plants over, you
Dann mache ich jetzt Ende. Ich danke fürs Zusehen. Wir haben
I'm a lot worse
einen
at this
Erfolg.
than I am at the
Einen Erfolg machen können, aber einen wichtigen. Das ist gut. Das heißt, wir können jetzt beim nächsten Mal weiter questen. Ich danke fürs Zusehen. Ich wünsche euch einen wunderschönen Montag. Ich gehe jetzt schlafen. Viel Erfolg bei allem, was ihr tut. Toodaloo.
Little zombie.